He only had 3 months left to live, so he decided to bed every beautiful man under the sun. After a series of bold moves, he finally managed to seduce the most dangerous man in the empire. But then he was informed by the very man he targeted that he had gone from hunter to hunted. So he ran, and the man, consumed by a dark obsession, vowed, "No matter where you flee, I will find you. You can only be mine." This was driving him mad. He might as well be dead. If his parents weren't trying to sell him off, he wouldn't be acting so recklessly. He had his brother to thank for all of this. Even though his brother was a good-for-nothing, he would effortlessly inherit everything, while he, no matter how hard he tried, couldn't escape the fate of being sold. Even sitting at the dinner table with his family was met with disdain. He simply suggested his brother take his studies seriously, and his brother, in front of the entire family, dumped a glass of red wine over his head. And his mother? She only blamed him for provoking the incident. She banished him from the dining room. Since you don't care, he thought, then I don't need to sacrifice myself for this family anymore. He would live as he pleased for himself. First order of business, break off the engagement. He'd intended to handle it gracefully, but Ho-Ju, his fiancée, whose mind was filled with nothing but lewd thoughts, started pawing at him. For years, he had hidden his magical talent for his brother's sake. Not anymore. He hoisted the man up and threatened him. The engagement was off. If Ho-Ju didn't want his precious manhood ruined, his parents, upon hearing the commotion, rushed in. Without asking for an explanation, his mother slapped him across the face, viciously cursing him. "You ungrateful wretch." Arya didn't care. He just demanded they sever ties immediately. His brother tried to stop him from leaving, but Arya thoroughly humiliated him. Free from his family's control, he felt an immense sense of relief. He decided to find a handsome man to fall in love with. Luckily, he found one as soon as he stepped outside. The most handsome man he'd ever seen. The Reaper of the Battlefield, as he was known, had just cut down, though he seemed dangerous, having just sliced up a petty thief. Well, with only 3 months left to live, Arya was fearless. Besides, he was so handsome. He must be very experienced in love. Arya trembled with excitement. The man mistook his trembling for fear. The next moment, Arya grabbed his hand. "Excuse me, do you have a girlfriend? If not, then please go out with me." In Eslahan's 20 years of life, this was the first time a girl had ever approached him so boldly. His jade hand, usually wielding a blade with deadly precision, now held his own. He had, on a whim, just provoked the Reaper of the Battlefield, the most ruthless and the most handsome man in the Empire. He tried every trick in the book to seduce him. Afterwards, the man's demeanor changed. "You want to run? Not unless I'm dead." But before all of this, the two had met once before. The Duke, with a single hand, had helped lift his carriage out of a mud pit. Arya, mistaking him for a coachman, now realized he was the infamous monster, the Duke. Rumor had it he was cold and ruthless, perfect for a 3-month fling. He probably wouldn't be heartbroken by his death. Eslahan, seeing the girl tremble, suddenly felt a pang of sadness. He'd carried a curse for years. No matter how many people he saved, they still feared him. The next moment, he was stunned by her words. "Please go out with me for 3 months." She smiled, a wild, unrestrained grin. "My name is Arya. What's yours?" he mumbled. "Although I know who you are, it's only polite to ask." The man's face was blank with confusion. He stammered, "And my name is Eslahan." Arya grew even more excited. "Oh my goodness, your voice is beautiful too. It's a pleasure to meet you, Eslahan." Arya's expression turned serious. "Will you go out with me?" Eslahan was taken aback, a blush creeping up his neck. Seeing him hesitate after witnessing her prowess with a blade, her face turned cold. "Aren't you afraid of me?" "Just kidding." As if afraid to hear his answer, she turned and fled. Yet, filled with a sliver of hope, she glanced back. He hadn't followed. So, it wasn't genuine after all. Little did she know, Arya, smitten by his beauty, was only more determined to win him over. Just as she was racking her brains for a way to approach him, she overheard that the Duke, suffering from a severe curse, was searching for a purification mage. Wasn't this a perfect opportunity? She needed to change her strategy. Finding Linger, she said, "I've been thinking I was too forward that day. You must have been frightened. Can we start over, perhaps as employer and employee?" Eslahan stared at the strange girl. Despite his warning, she seemed unafraid. Then, he heard the news he'd been desperately seeking. "Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Arya, the Empire's foremost purification mage. I can cleanse your ancestral curse. And the price for curing my affliction is room and board." Eslahan wasn't easily convinced. "Can you vouch for your words? If you deceive me, I will snap your delicate neck." Resigned to his terminal illness, he'd recklessly indulged with 3 sealed concubines. But after forcing himself on them, he'd been informed it was a misdiagnosis. He wanted to strangle the version of himself from 3 months prior, who had practically thrown himself at those men for a cure. Khan threatened Arya with his life, vowing to kill her if she lied. Knowing his days were numbered, what did he have to fear? A holy, brilliant light emanated from the 2 of them. Though the curse was strong and strained her, she persevered. Khan had been ravaged by the curse since childhood. He knew its horrors better than anyone. For years, it had caused him unbearable agony. His skin ulcerated and reeked. He'd been forced to bind himself in bandages to mask the stench. He was accustomed to being feared and shunned. He told himself not to get his hopes up. As the bandages unraveled, he stared at his restored hand, his heart pounding with indescribable joy. Now, will you sign a contract with me? Even her smile couldn't hide the exhaustion from her efforts. A strange warmth bloomed in Khan's chest. She was the only miracle, the only one who could lift his curse. Catching the collapsing girl, he vowed to keep her by his side. When Arya awoke, she found herself in the Duke's mansion. The man sat nearby, assuring her he would provide compensation as agreed. He offered to find her separate lodgings if she felt uncomfortable. Arya's goal was to win his heart. She wouldn't miss this opportunity. She wanted to leap across the room and embrace him, but seeing Khan's reserved demeanor, she refrained. Then, let's start with a handshake. I'll look forward to working with you. I'll take good care of you. Khan still couldn't believe it. He'd finally met someone who could heal him, someone completely unafraid, someone who even dared to suggest a pet name. Can I call you love? He stammered, flustered. Why you fainted earlier? I was just checking on you. Since you're all right, I'll take my leave. Arya was disappointed. He seemed experienced in romance. So why did he keep rejecting her? She wouldn't give up, though. Khan felt a shiver down his spine. He felt like prey being stalked. I'm still not sure you've fully recovered. It's best you lie down and rest. With that, he quickly departed. Arya rolled around in delight. The first thing he saw upon waking was the Duke's face. He was devastatingly handsome. Arya truly hoped his future children would inherit his beauty. The man outside the door heard every word. His handsome face flushed crimson. Covering his face, he sat down on the floor. What a strange man Arya was. The Duke had been drinking tea for 9 hours, and the young man had watched him for 9 hours. Khan was the first to break. Do you have something you want to say? Arya asked, his eyes sparkling. I've been waiting for you to talk to me. He moved closer suddenly. I was waiting for you this morning. I thought we could have breakfast together. He set down the broken teacup. You actually wanted to have breakfast with me? It seems you have quite the appetite. Arya looked puzzled. How much do you know about my curse? He didn't know much. He pulled up a small stool and listened intently. The Duke didn't intend to hide anything. It's a curse cast by the deceased, cast at the moment of their death. Even if I kill the one who cast it, it can't be lifted. The bandages have a spell to isolate the smell. So you probably don't know. The curse causes the skin all over my body to lose its vitality. It gradually rots and decays. I can only slow it down, not break the curse. Seeing Arya's shocked expression, he thought to himself, even if you find it disgusting and want to run away, I don't care, because I will drag you back to my side. But the young man, without any hesitation, grabbed the hand that others would recoil from even glancing at. He even promised to help him break the curse. This left Khan feeling both bewildered and ashamed. Why isn't he afraid of me? Others, when they see my decaying skin, treat me like a venomous snake or scorpion. They even become nauseous. But he treats me like a normal person. His eyes are even filled with affection. It made his selfishness and greed impossible to hide. The continuous healing was exhausting Arya. Please stop, he pleaded, but the Duke continued. Khan grabbed his hand. I told you to stop. He examined Arya's wrist. You don't need to push yourself. He lowered his head and wrapped the bandages around his hand. Arya's goal wasn't simply to heal him. He had discovered a more effective method. Don't worry, I'll cure you before I die. Khan questioned, before you die? I mean, I'll cure you as soon as possible. Don't worry, just trust me. Khan couldn't help but ask again, aren't you afraid of me? What he really wanted to ask was, don't you find me terrifying? Arya laughed. Why would I be afraid of you? You turned a doomed battle into a victory. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call you a national hero, and yet they call you the reaper of the battlefield. It must be a royal conspiracy. They're afraid of your power and the curse. The one to be feared is the one who cast the curse. But everyone is afraid of you, the victim. It's utterly foolish. He gently cupped Eslacon's face in his hands. I'm not afraid of you. I'm only afraid you won't like me, that you won't go out with me. He thought he was dying, so he flirted with the violent and cruel monster Duke, who knew that beneath the Duke's innocent appearance lay a closed-off and obsessive heart, ready to devour him whole, leaving nothing behind. And the young man, still unaware of the danger, held the Duke's face and confessed loudly, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just a little afraid you won't go out with me. Eslacon, who had been perpetually single, couldn't handle this kind of stimulation. Blushing, he turned his head away and stood up to flee. Arya was still marveling at how soft the Duke's face was when he heard Eslacon say, 7 o'clock. Dinner time. Goodbye. The words lifted Arya's spirits. The Duke seemed to have no resistance to physical touch, just a touch to his face, and he immediately agreed to have dinner with him. At that moment, the butler appeared. Earlier, thanks to the butler's guidance, Arya had been able to find the Duke. But in the butler's eyes, Arya was his young master's lucky star. Ever since the previous Duchess passed away, no one has dined with the master. That's why he absolutely must find a way to keep him here. Eslacon looked puzzled. What was this all about? He'd only learned this sort of thing as a child. He was worried about making mistakes during the meal and being laughed at by Arya, who was 5 years younger than him. But giving him a dating guide? What was the meaning of this? The butler's smile was mischievous. He absolutely refused this recommendation. It was completely unnecessary. How could it be unnecessary, Your Grace? In the 27 years I've served you, this is the thing you need the most. Seeing the Duke stubbornly refuse to accept it, the butler simply opened the book and began to read aloud. Eslacon childishly and loudly interrupted. I can't hear. Saying this, he grabbed his coat and ran. Your Grace, you're not going out. Why are you putting on your coat? What the butler didn't know was that Eslacon's curse made him feel incredibly self-conscious in front of Arya. He just wanted to cover up the scent. Entering the dining room, he saw Arya's smiling face. The mere prospect of sharing a meal with him brought him such joy. Arya quietly moved from across the table to sit beside him. I'd like to modify the contract a bit, if you don't mind. To be honest, compared to the magic I'm expending, the compensation seems a little insufficient. Eslacon felt a little uncomfortable with the close proximity. However, he also agreed that the compensation was too little. Even if it meant buying her a small country, he could manage it. But looking at the contract the girl presented, the requests were surprisingly simple. It was just accompanying him on outings and having meals together. Eslacon was a little confused about what outings meant. Arya beamed. Of course, it means going on dates with me. He just wanted to be cured. But the girl was solely focused on seducing him. Seeing Arya's new contract, with its simple terms of meals and dates, left Eslacon bewildered. He worried that she might later find the compensation too meager and suddenly run away. So, he added a clause to the contract. If Arya failed to completely lift his curse, she would bear all the consequences that followed. It was this very clause that would, in the near future, make Arya deeply regret getting involved with him. At this moment, though she felt a little apprehensive, she had already agreed and intended to see it through. And so, the two of them re-signed the contract. Arya seized the opportunity to suggest a picnic for the following day. But Eslacon explained that he had to go to the Imperial City tomorrow. Then the day after tomorrow, he asked, looking at Arya, this doesn't need to be so rushed, does it? I'm very eager, you know, she exclaimed, eager to receive your love. She even made a heart shape with her hands at him. Eslacon was almost used to her behavior by now. Calmly, he declared that it was time to eat. Arya's spiritual energy quickly recovered. The weather was also fine. She had to quickly purify the potatoes before leaving. Eslacon, whom she hadn't seen for a few days, was like the rising sun, so dazzling. Arya showered him with unrestrained praise. That sun called Eslacon will never set. Your face is truly radiant. The clueless man completely missed her point. What are you talking about again? Eslican thought that the weather was still cool and that the picnic should be scheduled for midday. He told her to go back first. Aria, however, paid no attention and sat directly on his desk. "Don't you even have time to purify your curse?" Eslican was shocked. Her spiritual energy had recovered so quickly. The next moment, she unwrapped his bandages. "The curse on your hand isn't serious. One more purification will be enough. It should be completely healed in a few days." Eslican found this hard to believe. He had spent decades trying to purify the curse, with almost no progress. He hadn't expected it to be resolved so easily. Remembering how Aria had fainted from the purification before, he felt a little worried. "Are you all right? You expended a lot of spiritual energy last time." Aria reassured him. "I'm fine. I know what to do this time. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Since the curse has been purified, do you want to go on a picnic with me?" The cold, harsh wind of early spring, even soaking her to the bone, couldn't dampen Aria's desire for a date. She swore she would win this man over. She confessed her love at first sight, threw herself at him upon waking, and mistakenly took a sealed, cursed man for an innocent, sweet young thing. She used him and then planned to run. Trying to escape? No way. Looking at the holes in the roof, Eslican sighed. "I told you it's cold in the spring mornings." That was precisely the cue Aria had been waiting for. He immediately moved closer, seeking warmth, his gaze hopeful as he looked at Eslican. "If someone would just take off their coat for me," he thought, "it would be so warm." Eslican turned his head, refusing. He was actually worried that his clothes carried the sin of the curse and would make Aria uncomfortable. Aria, whose thoughts were on a completely different track, didn't seem to mind at all. "You mustn't catch a cold," he said. With that, he darted towards the laid-out meal by the fountain. He quickly arranged the food, and then called out to Eslican with a warm smile. "Come sit down," he said. "My, you're so energetic." "Of course," he added, "this energy is exclusively for you, Eslican." He reached out a hand. "Come a little closer. Sit near me." He was like a liquid cat, all flowing movements. Aria's attempt to touch Esla all missed their mark. Could he have been hurt in the past? Aria wondered. Is that why he's so resistant to being touched? Although he'd never been in love himself, he knew that expressing one's feelings honestly was important. He certainly wouldn't lose in that department. With that thought, he opened the picnic basket, his face lighting up with delight. "This all looks delicious." The butler had not only prepared food, but champagne as well. Upon leaving, he had even wished his master luck in finding perfect love. "What do you like to eat?" Aria's thoughts were pulled back by the young man's question. "I don't have any favorites," Eslican replied, surprising Aria. "No favorite foods? How boring life must be," he thought. Picking up a sandwich, he said, "I like salmon, but I'm not a fan of cucumber." Suddenly, Eslican smelled a fresh scent drifting towards him. Can he purify scents too? He wondered. Even the smell of the curse seemed to be fading. He longed to ask Aria if he smelled anything strange on him. He worried that Aria had been enduring it this whole time. Aria's eyes were fixed on Eslican's handsome face. It was truly a breathtaking sight. Even eating looks good on him, he thought. With a flick of his wrist, he used magic to pluck some nearby flowers, weaving them into a garland that floated towards Eslican. He's like a work of art, he thought, his heart fluttering. Even against the backdrop of vibrant flowers, Eslican's face didn't lose its captivating beauty. Eslican reached out to remove the garland. "Stop teasing me," he said. A sudden gust of wind blew the flowers away. Aria jumped up to catch them, forgetting that the fountain was right behind him. Falling into water and becoming a celestial being wasn't quite what he had in mind. The landing, however, was surprisingly soft. He found himself soaked, sprawled on top of Eslican. Eslican sighed, exasperated. "Aria, please stop making fun of me." A rival had entered his home, intent on stealing his heart. An innocent, air-headed mage had encountered a cunning, sickly duke, and somehow the duke's heart had been stolen. Eslican, in an effort to protect Aria, had fallen into the fountain with him. He sighed again, though this time with a hint of resignation. He didn't release the hand he had placed on Aria's waist. He didn't even try to maintain his usual distance. Instead, he gently lifted Aria's wet hair, gazing at him intently. "Why did you jump?" he asked. "What if you had been hurt?" Aria suddenly felt self-conscious. Averting his gaze, he mumbled that he was fine and wouldn't catch a cold. Before he could finish, Eslican scooped him up into his arms. "Our date is over for today," he declared unilaterally. Let's go back. Arya protested, struggling in his arms. The date was too short. This doesn't count. Soaked and chilled by the cold wind, Arya came down with a fever the next day. He saw Esla Khan's face harden. Despite being ill, Arya tried to make light of the situation. "Congratulations," he said weakly. "You've witnessed my first ever cold." Esla Khan's expression only darkened. Arya gave up resisting. Okay, I'm sorry," he conceded. Esla Khan had already summoned a priestess to treat him. He wouldn't be able to stay, however, as he had to go to the imperial city. Arya quietly agreed. He had expected Arya to whine and demand his company for the entire day. He felt a pang of unexpected disappointment. Arya was more understanding than he'd thought. Having grown up without much family, Arya had never made a fuss over being sick. The fact that Esla Khan had come to see him at all was enough. As Esla Khan left the mansion, a question popped into his mind. Why had Arya run away from the Duke's estate in the first place? He'd been so preoccupied with Arya lately that he'd completely forgotten about it. Two carriages passed each other. He caught a glimpse of silver hair at the window. He suddenly felt relieved that it was a priestess who had come to treat Arya. As he realized this, it dawned on him that perhaps laughed. How could that be? He hadn't expected this at all. Before him stood a beauty with long, silver hair. He introduced himself with a beaming smile, causing Arya's already feverish temperature to rise even further. She silently thanked whatever gods there were for bringing such a beautiful person into existence. The god-touched stranger acted familiarly. "I'm called Daoxia. I'm a saint from Altair Temple." Arya politely responded in kind. Then she saw Xia cup her cheeks. "Shall we begin the treatment then?" A black-hearted wind swept through Arya's mind. This god-touched stranger was practically trying to climb into bed with her the moment they met. He leaned closer. "How did you end up here, Miss Arya?" A white-haired, god-touched flirt tried to get fresh right off the bat. He even dared to ask why she was at the Duke's estate. Arya felt a surge of annoyance. "I wanted to be. What's it to you?" Seeing her beauty wasn't working on Arya, he quickly apologized, feigning weakness and helplessness. "It's all because of my blunt personality. I'm always being bullied at the temple. Low-ranking saints like me are often looked down upon." Arya, in her naivete, instantly felt pity for him, especially when she noticed a wound on his forehead. Such a shame, such a beautiful face, and no one to heal him. By this time, his treatment was finished. The effect was remarkable. She felt completely refreshed. Although he was undoubtedly being paid, she felt grateful. Thinking aloud, she said, "Could you come a little closer?" The man obediently moved nearer. Reaching out, she kissed his drooping forehead. A surge of magic flowed out. The healing took more out of her than she'd anticipated. Fortunately, the wound wasn't large. Daoxia felt a sensation he'd never experienced before. Arya smiled and said, "All done." She touched her forehead. The wound had vanished completely. "That's incredible." Her expression shifted from astonishment to elation. "Are you a healing magician?" Arya admitted it. Daoxia grew serious. "Could you be my personal healing magician? I'll pay you handsomely." But Arya only wanted to heal Esla Khan. She didn't have the energy to care for anyone else. Besides, what would her beloved Esla Khan think if he got angry? "No, I'm very busy." Daoxia pleaded with her again, almost desperate enough to kidnap her. "What about in the future? Whenever you have time, I'll be available." This time, Arya didn't refuse. He seized the opportunity. "Then I'll take that as a yes. As a token of my gratitude, I'll always heal you for free." Having her test his abilities in exchange for free healing was a tempting offer. Arya had no reason to refuse. Seeing her acceptance, he pushed his luck further. "Since we're so fated to meet, why don't we become good friends, Miss Arya? I truly like you. I've never had a friend like this before. It wouldn't be bad to experience friendship before I die." With that thought, he smiled. "All right then, it's a pleasure to meet you." Back at the temple, Daoxia was a different person entirely. People addressed him respectfully as Daoxia Virillion, the great saint. What Arya didn't know was that, as a great saint, Daoxia was also the next in line for Pope. It wasn't that he didn't want to heal his wound, but his divine power was so immense, no one could heal him. He possessed a treasure within him. Yet, until he met Esla Khan, he had never received the treatment he deserved. The shy, almost sunder-a-cat-like person in Arya's eyes was a cold-blooded killer in public. And while Esla Khan yearned for Arya desperately, he dared not touch her, dared not hope. He was a cursed monster. Even loving someone was a luxury he couldn't afford. Despite this, Khan still wanted to stay by Aria's side. He sat in his carriage, agonizing over whether or not to visit her. After much hesitation, Aria decided not to go. This put him in a foul mood. He didn't need healing, yet he constantly thought about seeking her out. Why did he care about her so much? He opened the door to find the face that haunted his thoughts. It was the first time anyone had welcomed him home. That Sundara Duke sidestepped her. "How's your cold?" Aria praised him. "Running around so much. The saint is quite impressive." She grabbed Khan's hand. Chingguan said, "2 more days, and I should be completely recovered. Feel it. Isn't it much better?" Khan was flustered by her intimate gesture. How could she be so unguarded? Though secretly pleased, he blurted out a rejection. "You didn't have to come greet me." Aria pursued him. "But I missed you. Didn't you miss me today?" Khan couldn't meet her gaze, his words stumbling. "No, not at all." Aria saw right through him. She clung to him. "You're acting so strange. You miss me, don't you? Admit it." The faster a man walks away, the more he's trying to hide it. Aria suddenly remembered her objective. She asked Khan for a date. She even had the tickets ready. But his immediate response was a refusal. Aria whimpered, asking why. Khan had endured strange looks since childhood. People feared him and simultaneously scorned him. "Where could someone like me even go?" he asked, feeling the need to explain. "Are you truly not afraid of me? My title, Rail of War, isn't just for show. With a single flick of my wrist, hundreds could lose their lives. Being near me is like being near death. It's perfectly normal for people to be afraid." Aria wasn't unafraid, not exactly. It's just that she wasn't about to run away. Thinking this, she punched him, shouting to bolster her own courage. "I just attacked the renowned Duke Candel. What are you going to do about it? And I'm always sneaking glances at you. I even grabbed you without your permission. So, are you going to kill me?" The more she spoke, the more agitated she became, not with anger, but with a growing ache in her heart for him. Khan, you shut yourself away all day. What did you ever do wrong? I don't care what others think. Do you want to go? She gripped his hand tightly. Don't worry about what other people think. Just think about yourself. The monstrous Duke, isolated on the shore, was once again confronted by a cunning little deity. But he just wanted to find love. The beautiful woman cared about his jade-like makeup, a fragile and innocent puppy yearning for warmth. She was a manipulative little girl, full of schemes. "Leave him," she urged, compelling Khan to confront his own feelings. "Stop letting other people's opinions control you. If you want to go on a date with me, let me know by tomorrow morning." She even threatened, "If you really don't want to go, then I'll find another man." Only later did the fear of her recklessness set in. She had actually hit the famous Duke Campbell. Oh, whatever. Khan stood frozen, his ears burning crimson. Did she truly want to go on a date with him? As if by her will, Aria's desired date request was successful. Such a perfect opportunity for closeness. How could she miss it? With a twist of her foot, she began her performance, falling from the carriage towards Khan. As expected, he caught her, steadying her body. But her little trick was instantly seen through. "Stop trying to find ways to hold my hand." Aria pouted. "Can't you just pretend and let me hold your hand for a bit?" Khan's entire being radiated refusal. He even hid his hands behind his back. A commotion arose from the crowd. Noticing Khan's growing tension, she grabbed his hand. "Let's just go inside. It'll only be the two of us there anyway." Her smile was enough to warm his entire world. Khan, oblivious to the danger, didn't know he had already caught the eye of another powerful figure in the empire. Back at the temple, Dao Xia's aide chattered incessantly. "You are meant to be the next pope. Wandering around carelessly will cause problems." He suddenly noticed the wound on Dao Xia's forehead had vanished. Dao Xia touched his forehead. "The healing mage over there healed me." This shocked the aide. "To heal you, that means their power is comparable to yours. How is that possible?" Dao Xia was curious as well. "But I'll find out eventually." The rabbit munched contentedly, unaware of the approaching danger. A possessive black panther glared at the white intruder. The little rabbit remained blissfully ignorant. Khan couldn't hold back any longer, unleashing his lethal power before the girl. How could he tolerate another's profane gaze upon his precious beloved, whom he was too afraid to even touch? The performance was as captivating as Aria had hoped. She praised the leading man's handsome looks. Khan hadn't even registered the actor's appearance. Even so, her words put him on alert. "Do you like the princely type?" Aria chuckled. "No, I like handsome men." She patted his arm like a petulant cat. "I'm going to the restroom." wait for me in the carriage. He hummed a cheerful tune, his mood bright. He planned to have dinner with his beloved kitten, Aria, before returning home. Someone called out to him. He glanced over coldly. His former fiancée stood there, an arm possessively draped around a woman. I was so happy to see you, I couldn't help but call out, the man said, a smug look on his face. Aria's face hardened, magical energy crackling in her hands. I believe I told you I never wanted to see you again. Are you deaf? The man, vilely, launched a sneak attack. You're not the Duke's daughter anymore, he sneered. You need to know your place. Aria found herself immobilized, unable to speak or move. It seemed the despicable man hadn't given up. Driven by her beauty, he intended to take her as a concubine. He reached out to touch Aria. In a blink, his arm was broken. The Marquis screamed. Whoever had been controlling Aria was instantly obliterated. Esla Khan appeared behind her. I waited for you, he said. You didn't return, so I came to find you. He paused, considering. If I punish those who don't know their place, he asked, his voice low, will you fear me? Will you be disappointed in me? Aria gazed at him silently, offering no answer. The arrogant Marquis, oblivious to the impending doom, shouted, Do you know who I am? Esla Khan looked at him, as if he were already dead. Are you speaking to me? The slightest hint of the Khan's power was enough to silence the Marquis. Aria suddenly stepped in front of Esla Khan. The man was a Marquis. She didn't want her kitten to get into trouble because of her. Esla Khan pointed out that he was Kandel, but Aria persisted. Even if you are the powerful Kandel, she began, hesitating over whether to tell him the Emperor had granted her the right of execution. Before she could speak, Aria pulled him away, back towards the carriage. Watching her anxious, breathless face, Esla Khan felt a pang of disappointment. She must think him cruel. She probably wouldn't want anything to do with him now. But it didn't matter. They were bound by contract. He would never let her go. His dangerous thoughts were interrupted. Esla Khan, you were so cool. Aria's usual bright smile returned. She gave him an enthusiastic thumbs up. You were even cooler than the main character in the play. He stared at her, dumbfounded, unsure how to respond. After a long moment, he mumbled something and then, suddenly shy, turned his head away as if hoping not to be noticed. His reddening ears betrayed him. Dao Xia, the cunning saint, put an arm around Aria, pulling her close in a deliberately intimate embrace. Her heart belonged to another, but he intended to win her over. Walking together, all three of them, was certainly possible. Of course, Esla Khan was unaware of any of this. He even assumed the saint was a woman, leaving the two alone together for Aria's healing session without a second thought. Aria, her illness exacerbated by the previous day's incident, collapsed. Dao Xia muttered as he healed her. After I healed you last time, you agreed to my proposal, didn't you? And then you overworked yourself again. Aria gave an embarrassed smile. She looked at Dao Xia. Can I ask you a question? Dao Xia graciously agreed. Clinging to a sliver of hope, Aria asked, Can divine power cure terminal illnesses? Dao Xia admitted frankly, divine power can't cure terminal illnesses. If it could, they wouldn't be terminal. Aria was disheartened. Is that so? Sorrow filled her heart. So, he was going to die after all? Then she heard Dao Xia continue. However, someone with divine power on the level of the Pope might have a chance. Unaware of Dao Xia's true identity, Aria fretted over how she could possibly meet the Pope. Meanwhile, Dao Xia continued to examine her. He found her internal magical circuits were completely tangled. It was a rare condition caused by an excess of magical energy. If left untreated, it would be life-threatening. Even if she didn't die, she would be plagued by pain for the rest of her life. Although the treatment wouldn't be simple, it wouldn't take too much time. He might as well gain a personal favor from her. Thinking this, he offered, If you don't mind, I could come and treat you regularly. Even a little recovery would be good. Aria was pleasantly surprised. Really? I'd be so happy if you would. As soon as she spoke, Dao Xia swept her into his arms. Then allow me, he murmured, pulling her close as if they were lovers. Their breaths mingled. The healing session took a decidedly intimate turn. Aria was still reeling when Dao Xia finally released her. Today's treatment is over, he said. We'll need a few more sessions. Aria thanked him faintly. He seized the opportunity to make a request. If you're truly grateful, he said, perhaps you could do me a favor? Just one healing session for his curse was enough to render Esla Khan speechless with shyness. The fearsome monster Duke, the scourge of the battlefield, was privately and shockingly innocent. Arya awoke early, searching for Esla. The butler, beaming, informed her that the Duke had only returned late last night and hadn't yet risen. Arya's face fell. The butler, their biggest shipper, couldn't pass up this matchmaking opportunity. He suggested Arya go wake the Duke herself. Of course, if things progressed to this and that, and they got married immediately, even better. The butler escorted Arya to Esla's room. Its sheer size astonished her. By the time she reached the bedside, Esla was already awake, blinking sleepily and asking why she was there. It was obviously the butler's doing. Arya settled beside him. "It'll be more efficient if we do the purification in here," she proposed. "Let's make this quick." Esla looked bewildered. Arya smiled. "Starting today, I'll purify your upper body. Skin contact makes it more effective." She tapped his chest. "So take off your clothes." Seeing his hesitation, she teased. "Or do you want me to help?" Esla bolted upright. "And no, I'll do it myself." He slowly removed his shirt, revealing a torso wrapped in bandages. The more he cared for Arya, the more embarrassed he became. Arya, though inwardly delighted by his bashfulness, didn't miss a detail. Esla shyly covered his chest. "Do I need to remove the bandages too?" The air thickened with awkwardness because of the skin contact. So Esla unwrapped the bandages. He was crimson, biting his lip, terrified that Arya would be repulsed. Arya finally understood the severity of the curse. She gently placed her hand on him. "Let me check first." She began her examination. "Your curse is quite potent. 1 or 2 sessions might not be enough to fully purify it, but I'll do my best." She began the healing process. Esla shyly turned his head away. She was so close. Suddenly, Arya felt dizzy. "Oh no, I used too much magic." She collapsed against him. "Actually, I used a lot of magic healing Dao Xia yesterday. I don't have much left. I'll manage it better next time, so it doesn't interfere with your purification. Can I occasionally heal Dao Xia? We've become friends." Esla tensed. "Do you heal him like this too?" Arya, still dazed, didn't quite hear him. Then, remembering Dao Xia was a man, Esla chided himself for his jealousy. "Do as you see fit," he conceded. Arya suddenly blurted out, "Esla, when will you go out with me?" And then she fainted. Esla sat there, his clenched fists betraying his inner turmoil. After their intimate healing session, Esla avoided Arya. She couldn't find him anywhere. Meanwhile, Dao Xia offered to heal Arya, and in doing so, made a proposition. When she agreed, he pulled back his right sleeve, revealing a large wound that shocked Arya. She immediately started healing. "How did you get hurt like this?" Dao Xia, feigning nonchalance, replied, "I don't know. It just happened." The wound healed quickly, leaving barely a trace. This further confirmed Arya's power, a power rivaling his own. It had been worth injuring himself for this test. Arya collapsed onto the bed, exhausted. "That's strange. Why did healing you drain so much of my magic?" "Because he's Xiarun, the Pope." "But she can't know that yet." Besides thanking her, Dao Xia produced a teardrop-shaped ruby. "This is for you." Arya was stunned. "A ruby? You're giving me a ruby?" Dao Xia, maintaining his facade, lied smoothly. "I discovered a mine on my family's land." Arya was ecstatic. "Just one healing, and I get a gem like this?" Dao Xia chuckled at her reaction. "Is that how you react to pleasant surprises?" Arya played along, teasing. "Dao Xia, I'll serve you for the rest of my life. You mustn't seek any other magician besides me." Dao Xia wouldn't dream of it. No one else could heal him. Of course not, he thought, his mind racing. "Don't think you can escape me either." After the last healing session, Esla Khan had been avoiding Arya. Had he been too forward, scaring the kitten away? Besides healing, Dao Xia had become his relationship advisor. During the days, Esla Khan desperately avoided him. Dao Xia smoothly deepened his relationship with the girl. Arya looked at him. He seemed quite experienced. He must have dated a lot of girls. Dao Xia muttered softly. "That man is too emotionally secure." He lifted a strand of Arya's pink hair. "Why don't you make him jealous? If he sees you with another man, he'll definitely understand his own feelings." Arya, single for over 20 years, besides that fat, pompous former fiancé, didn't even have a male friend. She rejected the plan. "But there's no other man to be with me." Dao Xia grabbed the girl, his face drawing close to hers. "How dare you talk about relationships, forgetting that I'm a man too." They were almost kissing when the man suddenly began to heal her. Why does he always do things that cause misunderstandings? Arya thought, her heart pounding. However, the jealousy plan Dao Xia suggested seemed good. If he could make the kitten jealous, make her go crazy for him, Don't leave me. Do you want to see me go mad for you? The thought made him even more enamored, but he didn't want to do it because it would upset the kitten. He rejected Dao Xia's suggestion. He wanted to seduce Eslakan on his own merits. But the plan was disrupted that very day. It was already midnight when Eslakan returned. Seeing Aria's angry expression, he had a bad feeling. It made him a little panicked. Why aren't you asleep yet? I was waiting for you. It's really hard to see such a busy person. She had to resolve the issue today. You haven't forgotten about our twice-weekly dates, have you? Eslakan's heart pounded, a mixture of pain and sweetness. He didn't understand this unfamiliar feeling yet. That's why he had been avoiding Aria. Then can we take a walk in the backyard tomorrow? Seeing the man's reluctant attitude, Aria felt hurt. It seemed like she was the only one trying to maintain this relationship. Eslakan just wanted to evolve. He didn't want to be like before, passively waiting for arrangements and accepting whatever came his way. It seems you're really busy. I've been thinking we don't really need to treat these things like completing a task. Your Grace is so busy. It's me who's being unreasonable. The change in address made Eslakan frown. While you're busy with work, I'll just have dinner and go shopping with Dao Xia. I won't bother you anymore. Just focus on your work. Seeing Aria's trembling hands, he wanted to say something, but hesitated. The girl turned and left, a sharp pain stabbing at his heart. Back in her bedroom, Aria took out a notebook. It was a gift from her father. Her brother, on the other hand, received a jeweled sword. She remembered her brother bragging about how fun the West was, how friendly the people were. But he never took her. She just wanted to do the things she wanted to do before she died. Was that too much to ask? To have a relationship? To leave behind beautiful memories? Was it a burden for Eslakan? She could feel it. The kitten had never shown him the depth of her affection. When they watched the performance together, her gaze was even tender. Try a little harder. Try to do something, but she felt a little lonely. At the temple, Dao Xia took off his saint's robes. His back was covered in scars. He had a breathtakingly handsome face, yet he was always insecure, afraid of being abandoned. A deep-seated inferiority complex. Even though Aria expressed her love for him every day, he still believed he was unworthy of love. He avoided her while simultaneously obsessing over her. He would never let her leave him, but Aria just wanted to be in love with him. Even seeking help from the healing god, Dao Xia took off the high god's clothes. Dao Xia muttered to himself, "You never wear the lesser god's clothes. Why do you always change before going out lately? Doesn't everyone wear clothes like these, Dao Xia?" Hong Mao asked, "Are you going to see the healing magician again?" Look, he's tacitly agreeing. He worried. What if Duke Candel finds out? We'd be done for. Dao Xia, unconcerned, replied, "As long as he doesn't find out, it's fine." Hong Mao posed a question. Couldn't we just bring him back to the temple? No one would refuse a servant of the Pope of the lower realm. Given that position, Dao Xia shrugged slyly. Hard to say. He's not just anyone after all. Hong Mao chuckled. That's true. The fact that you're interested in him already makes him unusual. And you have such a fickle personality. You can be quite heartless to those you lose interest in. Dao Xia had already investigated Aria and learned her true identity, the missing eldest daughter of Duke Blanche, possessing overflowing spiritual power and healing abilities. Duke Candel desperately needed purification due to his curse. He must be the purification magician, and it's quite obvious that Duke Candel is extremely generous towards her. But Aria is only devoted to him. He wants to make her his exclusively, but it's proving a bit difficult. He needed to seduce her and make her his before their relationship deepened. After all, he, too, enjoyed indulging in affection. How should he entice this young lady? Dao Xia, still scheming, was suddenly interrupted by the very person he was plotting about. "Are you free today?" Dao Xia, startled as if caught red-handed, his composure still shaken, asked, "What is it now?" Aria hopped into the carriage. "Come out with me. Let's go shopping and have dinner together," she declared. Operation Make Him Jealous has begun. This played right into Dao Xia's hands. "I'd be delighted, Mississippi." He had intended to use her Operation Make Him Jealous as an excuse to seduce her. But why were the judge's clothes on fire? And why was he being dragged along by Aria? As if they were running away after causing trouble, knowing that the girl's healing god was a man. Eslakan went mad. The young lady and the god had been gallivanting around town all day. The butler finally couldn't hold back any longer and reminded him, the god isn't a woman, but a man. This is going to cause a huge problem if it continues. Kitten, innocent and insecure, thought, a monster like me, why do I have to try and hold her back? Even if they become lovers, it has nothing to do with me. All I need is to be purified. What am I hoping for? Arya just pities me. But why did his heart ache so much? Arya, oblivious to his turmoil, was fully committed to her operation make him jealous. As they emerged from the dessert shop, they discovered another shared interest, a love for sweets. Arya truly believed Dao Xia came from a wealthy family, questioning why he was so rich, yet still offered house calls for healing. The cunning Dao Xia was prepared. He lied, claiming to be oppressed by the high god. This further fueled Arya's sympathy. She vowed to help him get revenge. From the moment he met her, Dao Xia's interest in her had only deepened. The girl is quite capable herself, yet completely unaware. He mused, how would she even avenge me? Arya, brimming with fighting spirit, declared, burn their clothes? Or hang them from a tree? Whatever you want, just say the word. Dao Xia offered casual thanks, assuming she was merely jesting. Arya's attention was caught by something in a shop window. This would look perfect on Kitten. Dao Xia leaned in curiously. What are you looking at? Arya smiled. Jewelry. I think I saw something that would suit you. With that, she went to inquire about the price. Dao Xia waited. No sooner had she left than he was bumped into by someone. He hadn't wanted to engage, but the other man was aggressive. Seeing Dao Xia's lesser god attire, the man arrogantly demanded an apology. Dao Xia warned him, if you don't want to regret this, leave now. This only agitated the man further. He grabbed Dao Xia by the collar, threatening him with his status. It's been a while since I've met someone so eager to die, Dao Xia thought. I could just incinerate him, but he didn't want to reveal his true identity. I'll let him off easy this time. With that, he bowed his head in apology. The man, smug, opened his mouth to speak further, but his clothes suddenly burst into flames. Flames instantly engulfed him. His pink teddy bear underwear drew peals of laughter. Before the stunned man could react, he was pulled away. Run! Arya, a mischievous glint in her eyes, dragged him off. Miss, was that you? Dao Xia asked, breathless from running. Didn't I say I'd get revenge for you? She offered a reassuring smile. Don't worry. If there's any trouble, I'll turn myself in. Dao Xia held back for a moment before bursting into laughter. Arya looked at him, puzzled. You laugh like a villain. He only laughed harder. Resting his head against her shoulder, he murmured affectionately, what am I going to do with you? You're so interesting. His gaze turned possessive. So interesting that I really want to have you. Consumed by a surge of desire, he couldn't stop himself from rushing in. Just the day before, they had parted on bad terms. He wanted to keep her by his side, yet he was too afraid to reveal his true feelings. He was a man humbled to the dust, unable to even respond to her closeness. He feared his cursed, broken body would be rejected and reviled. Arya tried every way to entice him, but Eslakan remained unmoved like an iron wall. Even when she spent time with Dao Xia, seemingly carefree, he showed no reaction. This was because Eslakan believed Dao Xia to be a woman. When he finally learned the truth, regret gnawed at him. But his crippling self-doubt forced him to relentlessly convince himself that he had no right to interfere with her freedom. He couldn't allow his emotions to control Arya's life. Torn, he finally couldn't resist seeing her. They hadn't spoken in a long time. Arya, outwardly calm, remarked, so, you're finished with work? But inside, she was blossoming with joy. Her kitty had finally sought her out. Dao Xia truly was a master of romance. He hadn't seen his kitty in days, and he found it hard to tear his gaze away. That face is truly stunning. So handsome. You could conquer the universe with just your looks. Eslakan suddenly spoke. How have you been lately? Arya jumped, like she'd been caught doing something wrong. I've been good, she replied, fiddling with her food to hide her nervousness. I've been spending time with a friend. Thankfully, there were no cucumbers, which she hated. She snuck another glance at her kitty. Was he jealous? She had been spending time with another man, after all. Eslakan remained indifferent. Is that so? Arya pressed further. Dao Xia will be coming to my room later this afternoon. He'll only stay for a while. You don't have to mind him. Her kitty's iron wall remained firmly in place. His tone was flat. I don't mind. She wasn't getting the response she wanted, and it stung. Arya nibbled on her food, her gaze fixed on him, heavy with unspoken meaning. Are you really not jealous? Eslakan's composure finally cracked. The carefully constructed mask of indifference crumbled, his face flushing crimson. Seeing her with another man had driven him mad with jealousy. He wanted to chop the other man's hands off. Just the day before, he hadn't understood his own feelings. Even knowing Arya was with another man, he had stubbornly insisted he wasn't jealous, that he didn't care. As long as it doesn't interfere with evolution, he'd said. Arya's appetite vanished. She stood to leave. Well then, evolution goodbye. Dao Xia reappeared, asking what was wrong. Arya confessed her plan wasn't going well. He chuckled. That trick won't work on Duke Candel. Such a cold-blooded man wouldn't get jealous. As long as I keep tempting him, he'll be mine eventually. Thinking this, he feigned sympathy. Don't be too upset. Arya, feeling guilty that the conversation always revolved around her, changed the subject. Why are you wearing glasses today? They suit you, though. Dao Xia touched his glasses. I just felt like I should wear them today. My intuition is usually right. Precognition, Dao Xia's other ability, was the most important factor in selecting the Pope. Yet, here he was, using it to predict his luck in pursuing a girl. He smiled, asking Arya, "What do you think? Do you like them?" Arya was practically blinded by his beauty. "You're so handsome. Anything looks good on you." Her words had barely left her lips when Dao Xia swept her into an embrace. "Then let's begin today's treatment," he murmured. Meanwhile, Khan stewed in his own misery. He grumbled about the uselessness of his steward's advice. The steward, for his part, was about ready to ascend from sheer exasperation. "Miss Arya is heartbroken. If you're so indifferent to her, why did you invite her to breakfast?" This was the first time Master has arranged a meal for anyone. He even instructed the chef to leave out the cucumbers. Master must have realized his feelings. Ever since he was cursed, Khan has rarely interacted with others, so he's quite slow when it comes to matters of the heart. He truly wants Master to be happy. With that thought, the steward tried again. "You need to confront your own feelings. The divine healer has arrived. Go and see for yourself." Khan was bewildered. Was he truly jealous? That was an emotion for those with hearts, not for him. From a moment he was cursed, he had become a living corpse. No one had entered his heart since then. But when he heard it with his own ears, saw it with his own eyes, his composure shattered. He stormed in and tore the two apart. He was so enraged he wanted to kill Dao Xia. "Stay away from her," he snarled. Dao Xia, feigning innocence, inquired politely, "I am the divine healer of Altair." "Greetings, your grace." He was thankful he was wearing his spectacles today. They concealed his identity. Arya was startled by the sudden interruption. She rushed to smooth things over, but she was focused on explaining to Khan, "This is just treatment." The man's hand on Arya's shoulder was a glaring offense. They looked anything but friends. Khan, consumed by paranoia, didn't trust easily in matters of the heart. But when he committed to someone, it was for a lifetime. A love etched deep into his bones, unwavering until death. A possessive streak, bordering on unhealthy, meant he would never let her go. Yet, he was usually shy and timid about his feelings. No matter how forward Arya was, he remained oblivious, because he was a cursed monster. He feared even touching her, lest he cause her harm. The woman he loved was right in front of him, yet he couldn't bring himself to admit it, until he witnessed the divine healer's treatment, pushing him to the brink of madness. Only then did it truly hit him, how deeply he cared for Arya. The divine healer's smile was laced with provocation. Seeing Arya's frightened expression, Khan suppressed his murderous urge. Besides, he had been the one rejecting her. Why did he have to interfere now? He could only order the divine healer to leave. As Dao Xia took his leave, something clicked. Could Duke Candel also be interested in Arya? If so, things were about to get even more interesting. He wasn't about to give up, though. With the divine healer gone, the atmosphere grew thick with awkwardness. Seeing Khan's silence, Arya couldn't help but break the silence. "Didn't you say you weren't jealous?" Having calmed down, Khan could hardly believe how emotional he'd been. Was he truly jealous? The thought of Arya showing another man, the same tenderness she showed him, filled him with a burning unease. He didn't want Arya to hate him. He didn't want to hurt her. If only she were his. He had denied and ignored his feelings, but now he couldn't lie to himself any longer. Arya nervously clutched her skirt, looking up at him. She asked again, Khan, "What should I do? Should I go drinking with Dao Xia?" This time, the usually self-deprecating Khan didn't shy away. He pleaded with her, "Arya, don't go." His heart pounded in his chest. The words of confession tumbled out. "Arya, Khan was finally confessing, but the girl had other plans. Arya only intended to go through with a 3-month relationship before bolting. Khan, however, had already envisioned their married life. This didn't stop him from making his first confession. He found himself constantly looking at her, unable to control his thoughts. The mere idea of her with someone else sent a surge of anger through him, a primal urge to sever the hands that dared to touch her. Arya looked at him, surprised. Khan gazed at her intently. If this is jealousy, he thought, then I'm about to lose my mind. This feeling is so unfamiliar to me. That's why I hesitated for so long. He cautiously voiced the question in his heart. What you said about being in a relationship with me, does that still stand? I like you. Arya paused for a moment before reacting. Of course it does, she said, embracing him. Eslakan tentatively returned the embrace. Arya beamed. Eslakan, she said, her voice filled with warmth. I look forward to being with you. It felt surreal to Eslakan. The feeling is mutual, he murmured. This was his first experience with reciprocated love, almost too incredible to believe. Arya's plan was to enjoy a passionate 3-month romance and then disappear. Eslakan, however, was already making plans to renovate the courtyard, envisioning it as a place where they might spend their lives together. The ever-action-oriented Arya immediately began her relationship plan. Eslakan carefully studied her handwriting. His cursed body held him back from so much. There were a few more lines on the next page, but Arya snatched it away before he could read them. There's other stuff on the back, Arya said, her expression serious. She'd nearly had a heart attack. He'd almost been caught with his courtyard renovation list. He didn't want his terminal illness revealed so early in their relationship. Seeing the completed items on the list, Eslakan felt a jolt, remembering the irritating Dao Xia. Seems like you've been having fun, he remarked. Arya rushed to explain. These are just things I wanted to do, she said, not necessarily with a partner. Eslakan sulked. Then there's no need to do the rest with me either. Despite her apparent anger, he was secretly delighted. You're so cute when you're jealous, Arya teased. But I want to do these things with my partner. Don't you, Eslakan? He immediately surrendered. I'll have the carriage prepared at once. Arya hugged him joyfully. You're the best, Eslakan. Flustered by her affection, Eslakan blushed and turned his head away. The jealous and love-struck Eslakan couldn't stand the thought of someone else accompanying Arya on these outings. He was determined to redo everything Dao Xia had done with her. He even pointed out his own jealousy, which Arya found endearing. Remembering Arya mentioning she had nothing to wear, Eslakan took her to the finest clothing store in the empire. When she emerged in an exquisite gown, seeking his opinion, she found him standing there, speechless and stunned. His silence made both Arya and the shop assistant nervous. Did the Duke disapprove? The assistant frantically suggested another dress, anxiously asking for his opinion. Then, Eslakan suddenly spoke. There's no need to choose. I'll buy you everything you like, and all the jewelry you looked at too. He radiated an aura of wealth, befitting the affluent Duke Candel. The carriage was overflowing with purchases. In the end, he bought everything. Remembering the earlier incident, Arya decided to confront him. Why didn't you answer my question before? Eslakan looked confused. Arya poked his stomach. I asked you if I looked good in that dress. The poke surprised her. Wow, you're toned. Eslakan averted his gaze, finally managing to stammer, very beautiful. The truth was, she looked so stunning he'd forgotten how to react. Arya wasn't satisfied. It's too late to answer now. It's an insult. If you thought it was beautiful, you should have said so then and there. Eslakan squirmed away from her relentless poking. Please, stop poking me, he pleaded. But in the cramped carriage, there was nowhere to hide. Arya finally couldn't help but grab his wandering hand, stopping him from continuing his dangerous actions. You're really beautiful, she said, blushing again. His heart disobediently began to pound. Arya, with a smile in her eyes, asked, Really? Then kiss me. Before Eslakan could react, she reached out, pulling him towards her. Filled with affection, their breaths mingled. As they were about to kiss, whose heart was beating faster, Eslakan finally lost control, pressing Arya beneath him. Ever since they started their relationship, he'd had a legitimate reason to be close to her. But Eslakan was too shy. The slightest disturbance, and he would flee before their lips could meet. Though he would reappear the next day, acting as if nothing had happened. But how could Arya be satisfied? She started her teasing again. Eslakan, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could feed me? I want to receive my lover's affection today as well. He had 2 perfectly good hands. Why did she need to feed him? Though Eslakan didn't understand, he opened his mouth without hesitation. Arya took a playful bite, then moved beside him and began to pet him like a cat. She didn't forget to hug him and praise him. Eslakan, you're so gentle. She hugged him happily, while he endured the agonizing pleasure. Unable to bear the stimulation, Esla Khan fled again. He'd gone too far again. Even Arya's cat-like steward was speechless. Was he serious? Arya was about to go completely mad. Did he prefer a platonic relationship? No, she had to test him again. The opportunity soon arrived. Arya made a plan in her heart. If he truly hated physical contact, then she would have to endure it in the future. If he didn't love her that much, she couldn't let him suffer needlessly. As Esla Khan removed his shirt, Arya thought to herself, "This is an illusion, a forbidden desire." When he was ready, the cursed purification began. Little did she know, Esla Khan was also desperately trying to control himself. This is just purification, purification. He couldn't let his mind wander. The next moment, he saw Arya collapse. "Are you alright?" Arya used the opportunity to test him. "I'm so dizzy. Can you hold me?" Esla Khan's tone was serious. "Arya, I've been holding back this whole time." He pushed her away. "So it's best we keep our distance, because I don't know how much longer I can hold back." Arya grabbed his hand. "You can do whatever you want. You don't have to hold back anymore." Esla Khan's reason snapped. Arya was pushed onto the sofa. "Are you telling me to do as I please?" "Anything at all." She only wanted a kiss. She wasn't ready for anything else. Esla Khan's gaze, as if he wanted to devour her whole, began to kiss the back of her hand. She panicked. "Esla Khan, I was wrong." Esla Khan, after struggling with himself, finally helped Arya up and began to lecture her. "So what will you do from now on?" The girl whimpered softly. "I won't act recklessly anymore." He gently wiped away Arya's tears. "Next time I won't stop. Remember that." Esla Khan's thinking was simple. In a short term, they just needed to avoid contact as much as possible. But things didn't go as planned. The girl didn't learn her lesson. The next day, he was pounced on again. "Esla Khan, let's continue what we didn't finish yesterday." The girl played with fire daily, taking pleasure in teasing Esla Khan. Arya's fighting spirit was reignited. They were in a relationship, so what couldn't they do? She suggested a date at a tavern. Esla Khan refused, using the crowd as an excuse. He feared the way people looked at him like a monster. He also feared his curse would harm others. He felt apologetic. Being the lover of a monstrous duke meant giving up many things. But even so, he couldn't let go now. Arya wasn't angry. Instead, she reassured him that it was all right. She said that understanding each other was what lovers did, and the location of their date wasn't important. Being together was all that mattered. After saying this, she saw him out, promising to see him again that evening. Esla Khan had never looked forward to going home so much. He imagined returning home, dining with her, sharing drinks and conversation, talking about how she'd spent her day, whether she was settling in well, and what she liked. That's what he had planned. But the meeting suddenly dragged on endlessly, irritating him to the point that he stood up and interrupted, demanding to know how much longer the pointless debate would continue. The room fell silent. Blanche, recklessly, accused him of speaking nonsense to the emperor. Remembering that the man was Arya's father, Esla Khan restrained himself from retaliating. The emperor smoothly intervened, saying, "Duke Candel has a point. Let's end the meeting here today." The moment the words left his mouth, Esla Khan swiftly departed, leaving a blur in his wake. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Only Blanche continued to curse his arrogance, only to be warned by someone beside him. "Are you tired of living? Duke Candel is ruthless. Why provoke him?" Seeing that he still hadn't stopped, the other person scoffed. "If you want to preserve your declining family, you need to be smarter. Know what not to provoke." The old man was thoroughly deflated. He blamed Arya for his family's troubles. His son only knew how to squander money, and his wife had left him and argued with him because of it. If she had just obediently married, they wouldn't be facing financial difficulties. The old fool still dreamt of Arya returning to apologize, deluding himself into thinking he was a good father. Meanwhile, Arya anxiously awaited Esla Khan's return. The slightest sound sent her running to the front door. Esla Khan's butler chuckled. "The master was worried you'd be waiting, so he went to change first." Arya, breathless, clutched her chest, thinking he'd almost caught her running. But Esla Khan was even more eager. "Were you running?" he asked. Arya was surprised. "When did you get here?" Esla Khan replied gently, "Just now." He stroked her hair. "You didn't have to rush to greet me." He invited her inside. Flustered by the head pat, Arya's heart pounded. She thought, he must be a seasoned romantic. Just how many people has he dated? She found herself leaning against him again. Thanks to the butler's enthusiastic encouragement, they agreed to have a drink together. Flushed from Esla Khan's touch, she subtly moved closer, thinking, with a face and figure like that, he definitely isn't experiencing his first love. Esla was also observing her discreetly. Why does her expression seem so unreadable? The butler began his performance. Arya enthusiastically applauded. Do it again. That was amazing. Esla commented dryly. That's a bit much. You can even mix drinks. As a butler, of course, I must be proficient in everything. Having prepared the drinks, he made a quick exit, not forgetting to cheer on his young master. Have a historic night. Esla groaned, as if. Arya and Esla began to drink. After clinking glasses, she downed hers in one gulp. Esla was concerned. Isn't that a bit fast? Arya leaned against the table. I have a high tolerance. Back home, when I was stressed, I used alcohol to unwind. Esla smiled, a touch of amusement in his eyes. Really? How does it taste? Sweet and refreshing, she replied. Why don't we go for a walk in the courtyard? It's a shame the fountain, the one we fell into, isn't working anymore. She began to tell him about her day. Esla listened quietly. The atmosphere was perfect. Arya remembered something she wanted to clarify. Oh, right, about Dao Xia. He's just a friend. He's even been giving me advice about our relationship. Anyway, can I continue seeing him for treatment? It's been very effective. I'll ask him to change the position. Esla hesitated. He wasn't sure what kind of treatment she was receiving, but he sensed she didn't want to elaborate. If it was for her health, he should agree. He certainly didn't want her to dislike him. He finally said, do as you wish. Arya happily moved closer, nuzzling against him. Esla, you're so sweet. She added, I'm feeling a little warm, though. The alcohol, combined with their closeness, was causing her cheeks to flush a vibrant red. It's so hot, he murmured, fumbling with his buttons, trying to loosen his clothing. But the alcohol made his fingers clumsy, and he couldn't undo them, even resorting to tugging at the fabric with frustrated force. He suddenly remembered Arya, her eyes wide with a silent plea for help. He clung to Esla, desperate. He seemed completely unaware of what he was doing. Can you help me? He asked, the alcohol emboldening him. Arya, ever the bold one, leaned in close to Esla. Their first kiss was imminent, but it sent a wave of jealousy through Esla. He wasn't sure what she was doing. He only knew he was going mad. As she drew nearer, he desperately tried to pull his hand away, but in the next instant he was pushed down. His heart pounded in his chest. Arya gazed at him, a dreamy look in her eyes. Should we finish where we started last time? She whispered. Esla chanted internally. Arya's drunk. I can't. I have to resist. But her wandering hands were making it almost impossible. I need to stay ching. I have to stay sober. Esla panicked and pulled away. Arya, please move. No, not unless you promise me one thing. He turned his face away. What is it? She boldly declared. You have to kiss me. Esla knew she was drunk. He couldn't take advantage of her. But just a kiss. Just a quick one, she pleaded. He gently cupped her face. Leaning in, he reminded her, you have to keep your promise. A feather-light touch brushed against her cheek. He pulled away instantly. Is that okay? Arya stared, dumbfounded. It's not like we haven't kissed before, she thought. She cupped his face and pressed her lips against his. Esla eyes widened in disbelief. Time seemed to stand still. Arya pulled back, a smug look on her face. That's what a kiss is, she declared triumphantly. Esla froze. You should know when to stop, he thought, just before she pounced on him again. He was still contemplating how to respond when he saw her eyelids flutter closed. And then, without a care in the world, she started to snore. She fell asleep. Esla sat up, mortified. He hadn't felt this flustered in a long time. The next morning, Arya appeared, bright and cheerful as ever. Only Esla looked disgruntled, sporting dark circles under his eyes. You're awake, he said. Arya's innocent expression made him feel even more aggrieved. She doesn't remember, does she? In truth, she remembered everything, but embarrassment compelled her to feign ignorance. When did I fall asleep last night? I only remember talking about the treatment, and then nothing. Esla wanted to cry. She really had forgotten. I usually hold my liquor well. Maybe it was the cocktails last night. Esla didn't care about the type of alcohol. He only knew that his first kiss had been stolen, and the thief didn't even remember. Arya, you're not allowed to drink with anyone else anymore. Why not? Everyone says I'm a good drinker. His expression darkened. Drinking with everyone is very interesting, he said, his mind racing. Who did she drink with? An ex-boyfriend? Esla sullenness made Arya feel unjustly accused. He's had plenty of lovers himself. Suddenly, the butler knocked. Blanche, the priest, had arrived. Esla Khan clenched his fists, the words forced through gritted teeth. Bring him to the meeting room. Although their relationship had progressed quickly, both physically and emotionally, their romance seemed to be hitting a snag. Both of them, inexperienced in love, assumed the other was a seasoned lover, secretly stewing in their own jealous anxieties. And the priest's arrival for the treatment only fueled Esla Khan's jealousy. He ordered the butler to take Blanche to the meeting room, determined to prevent Blanche from entering Aria's bedroom again. Aria, however, was focused on her health. Upon entering the meeting room, she saw Dao Xia sitting leisurely, his demeanor as welcoming as ever. Aria felt a pang of guilt for dismissing Esla Khan so abruptly last time, but he didn't seem to mind. It's nothing to apologize for, he said. You haven't done anything wrong. If you really feel bad, come find me for your next treatment. The pressure was immense. He hadn't expected the Duke to be so endearingly possessive as to have him watched. Aria formally suggested a change in their treatment method. Is it your lover that makes you want this? Esla asked. No, Aria replied. It's me. I feel uncomfortable. I have a lover now, and being this close to you just doesn't feel right. Hearing her say this made Esla's heart sink. Despite his disappointment, he didn't let it show. He maintained a smile. All right, he conceded, but this way will be less efficient. The next moment, he took her hand. But you should care about me too, you know. Does having a lover mean abandoning your friends? The lingering effects of his hangover had eased considerably. Realizing that the hand-holding was just for the treatment, Aria rushed to explain. I'm so sorry if I hurt you. I didn't mean it like that at all. Leaning against him, Dao Xia seized the opportunity. So, do you want to go to the library with me? Today, Aria asked. Surely you're not too busy for the library, are you? Aria considered it. Esla Khan was probably busy with ducal duties. A quick trip to the library with a friend seemed harmless enough. She agreed. Dao Xia's aim was to avoid the watchful eyes. If the Duke cared about his reputation, a simple trip to the library with a priest shouldn't raise any alarms. The next moment, however, a familiar voice, laced with displeasure, cut through the air. Then I'll come along too. Both Aria and Dao Xia were startled. Esla Khan appeared, his expression thunderous. Is there a problem with that? Dao Xia's face paled. The Duke clearly cared more than he'd anticipated. The air crackled with the unspoken rivalry between the two men. Each glared at the other, barely concealing their animosity, though they maintained a semblance of civility in Aria's presence. Dao Xia rose to greet Esla, only to be childishly ignored. Isn't your work very busy, Esla Khan? Aria asked. Men in love were truly different creatures. Being with you is more important than work, Esla replied, making Aria blush. The air between them shimmered with romantic tension. So, can I come with you? Dao Xia asked. Of course, Esla replied smoothly. It would be my honor. He continued to ignore Dao Xia, turning to Blanche and instructing him to prepare the carriage. Blanche, inwardly delighted by his master's possessive display, happily complied. Inside the carriage, only Aria seemed genuinely cheerful, lost in her own thoughts. She hoped her friend and her lover could become friends too. That would be perfect. Dao Xia, however, felt a growing unease. As they neared the palace, he realized with a jolt that they were headed to the royal library. Many people at the palace knew him. If he went inside, his identity would be discovered. Please forgive my rudeness, he stammered, feigning a sudden emergency and hastily excusing himself. Aria, oblivious to his real reason, was even more delighted. Are we going on a library date? She asked, taking Esla's hand. Esla Khan's mind raced. I'm not a beast, he thought. What could possibly happen in a library? But even inside the library, Esla Khan refused to let go of her hand. It was small and soft, as if it might break in his grasp. Wherever Aria went, he followed. His possessiveness only made him more endearing in Aria's eyes. She found him utterly adorable. Esla Khan pulled her close. Stop following me, he murmured. Go find a book you want to read. Aria, surprised by his sudden closeness, whispered back. Do you have to be so close to talk to me? Because it's a library, he replied playfully. Now go find a book. Aria happily wandered off. Even a library could be romantic. The hushed atmosphere, the scent of old paper, it all felt strangely intimate. She stood on tiptoe, reaching for a book on a high shelf, secretly hoping Esla Khan would come to her rescue. Sensing someone approach, she turned excitedly, only to find herself facing a rather oily-looking man. He attempted to corner her against the bookshelf. Get away from me. Aria shoved him away without hesitation. She reached for the book again, and this time, it was the person she'd been hoping for. Esla Khan stood behind her, Did you see? Esla asked, then paused, a smile playing on his lips. Did you see how you deliberately chose the highest books? Or the way you threatened that other man to leave? Esla leaned in, his voice a low murmur. I was quite pleased. You should treat all other men that way from now on. Arya looked down. I'm afraid you'll run away if you see how contrived I am. No, that's something I should be worried about. But if you do run, I will definitely catch you. A sweet rendezvous between young lovers is always susceptible to unwelcome interruptions. Arya's older brother, Ron, seemed to have forgotten how he had hurt his own sister. He approached them with a brazen air, feigning concern. Sister, are you doing well? You seem to have a healthy glow. Ron put on a show for the Duke and his lover. Esla was unaware of his running away from home. He was her own brother, yet his presence filled her with disgust and fear. Why is he here? Is he going to lecture me again? Or belittle me? How will he humiliate me in front of Esla? The last shred of self-respect that Arya had, worn thin by her family, clung precariously. She didn't want Esla to see how her family treated her. She especially didn't want his pity. Esla, please go back. I want to talk to my brother. You can wait for me, but I think it will take a long time. She made an excuse to persuade him to leave. But the moment he was gone, her brother's demeanor changed. It's unbelievable. Are you living off the whims of that monster? Watch your mouth, or I'll bury you again. You turned the house upside down, and now you're being kept by a man. You're a disgrace to the Blanche family. Mother is bedridden because of you. You think you're so great because you can use a little magic? Living by pleasing a monster. What else would someone like you do? Arya had long since given up hope on her family. Whatever. Deal with it yourself. Enraged by her defiance, her brother lashed out, striking her hard across the face. The force of the blow knocked her to the ground. She had been hit again. There was no escaping it. How dare you hit your own brother? His face twisted with rage. As my sister, you will never be better than me. Don't even dream of rising above me. Dealing with Ron wouldn't be difficult, but a public fight would reach Esla ears. She didn't want him to know she was being beaten by her family. It was too humiliating. But why should she endure it? She would make this family extinct, wipe them out completely. A vital blow. What did it matter? The crowd grew larger. Arya took advantage of the chaos and ran. She didn't go back. Esla couldn't see her injured face. After a long wait, a priest finally arrived. The diagnosis, a fractured bone. Ordinary healing wouldn't be enough. The priest advised her to seek a higher-level healer. She hadn't expected a low-level priest to inflict such damage. Arya walked the streets alone. She didn't have money for more healing. Her swollen face also prevented her from returning. What was she to do? She truly seemed to have nowhere to go. The person they so carefully protected had been beaten to the point of a fractured bone by her own brother. She had thought that by covering the wound and applying makeup, it wouldn't be noticed. Esla strode towards her. I was so worried about you. He reached for Arya's hand. Let's go back. But the moment he got close, a powerful killing intent erupted from him. Arya, what happened to your face? Who dared to touch you? She didn't know how to answer. Should she say she fell? Before she could come up with an excuse, he accurately deduced the cause of the injury. This is a blunt force injury from a fist. It happened less than half a day ago. You've received treatment from a low-level priest, but it hasn't been effective. How did he know? Remembering how easily he'd severed another man's hand. Do you know who had hurt him? Esla was like a different person. How could I let him go so easily? Arya anxiously gripped his arm. I'm so sorry you had to worry. I'll handle this myself. I'm quite capable. He didn't want to waste what little time he had left on something like this. Besides, it was her affair. Esla didn't press the matter. I understand. I'll contact a high priest to see to your healing. Seeing the girl's relaxed smile, his heart ached even more. Of course, he hadn't pressed for answers for a reason. He didn't need to rely on her for information, because there were other ways to find out. The commander of the Shadow Guard received his orders. Who laid hands on Arya? What happened after he left? What was the Blanche family's involvement? He would investigate everything thoroughly, and Arya's safe return was thanks to a chance encounter on the road with the dress shop owner, who soothed his troubled mind and gave him a veil to conceal his wounds. The next day, in the meeting room of the Altair Temple, Dao Xia was attending awaiting the important annual meeting. An aide arrived with urgent news. The elder priest chastised him for not controlling his followers. Dao Xia, however, retorted sarcastically, "Seeing as you're so quick to criticize me, perhaps I should discipline my followers." The elder priest, who had intended to assert his authority, was left fuming. He beckoned to his red-haired attendant. It was news from Kandel. Upon hearing of Arya's injury, he immediately adjourned the meeting. The elder priest tried to intervene, but Dao Xia ignored him. The moment he left, the meeting room buzzed with criticism. Though Dao Xia's divine power was undeniable, he was still too young. There would always be those who challenged him. When he arrived at the Duke's estate, Arya was waiting for him in the courtyard. His smile was more radiant than the blossoms filling the garden. "Dao Xia, you're here. You're amazing." What should have been a perfectly romantic scene shifted the moment he saw the girl's face. The smile vanished. Who did this? The sight of her injury ignited a furious protectiveness in both men. Who did this? Was it Duke Kandel? Arya rushed to defend Esla. He wouldn't do that. If it was him, he wouldn't be alive right now. Then who? As he stepped closer, Arya turned her head away, avoiding the question. Who could make her so reluctant to speak? She was under the protection of the next pope and the war god. Who would dare touch her? Her silence makes this even more intriguing. I can find out myself, but I trust Kandel will handle it. It shouldn't require my intervention. Seeing the girl's anxious expression, he relented. Since you're unwell, you shouldn't be wandering around. For Dao Xia, they were the only ones who could heal each other. If something happened to her, it would be unbearable. He had come prepared this time with a gift, a bracelet imbued with divine power, offering a degree of healing. Arya worried it was too precious to accept. This is a gift of friendship, something this valuable. I wouldn't dare wear it outside. The thought made her feel even more indebted to the high priest. Thank you. I haven't gotten you anything. I'm sorry. Dao Xia's usual playful demeanor returned. No need to apologize. Just spend time with me next time. A little of your time is enough. Though he had ulterior motives, the gift was sincere. The bracelet allowed him to monitor her health and summon him instantly if she was in danger. I'm the one who deceived you. I should be the one apologizing. Meanwhile, the Duke finally relented, picking up the dating guide his butler had so insistently recommended. The book advised against rushing physical intimacy, lest it lead to boredom. Their interactions had been anything but intimate, yet he found himself growing nervous. Who would like a monster like you? Let's break up. The mere thought made Esla Khan breathless. No, he couldn't let Arya leave. No matter the cost, he wouldn't let her go. The next day's healing session was to take place in the office. Arya suddenly felt a little awkward. It was a relief it wasn't on the bed. If things escalated like last time, he wasn't prepared. The healing process was equally agonizing for Esla. He was struggling to maintain control. Even though he yearned to touch her, the thought driving him nearly mad. Any action in this body felt like an unforgivable indulgence. He couldn't risk her disgust. He couldn't bear to touch her with this hideous form. To keep her from leaving, this was his only option. Arya suddenly suggested, "Why don't we cook together? I want to try it with my lover." Too close. His heart couldn't take it. He pulled away, but she caught his hand. "Don't you want to cook with me?" That tingling touch settled in his palm. He was truly losing his mind. The interactions of young lovers are always filled with blushes and racing hearts. Arya thoughtfully prepared aprons. "It seemed a little small for me. That's a shame. I bet it would look cute on you." "It's fine, we'll just cook." Esla Khan thought about his dating guide. What should he say? Should he say his body was too terrifying to touch her, or that he was afraid she'd be disgusted? So Arya, how about we take things slow? It was laughable that he was the one making such a request. Unexpectedly, she readily agreed. They were thinking of entirely different things. But that was a story for another time. Cooking was the goal. Arya flung a pancake into the air. A swift flick of magic, and he caught it. That was close. Esla Khan laughed, genuinely amused. Being with someone he loved made everything enjoyable. Such a successful creation. The first bite, of course, goes to you. She was teasing him again. Esla Khan, blushing, bit into the strawberry. A chocolate smear remained on his lip. Arya leaned in. "You seem to have something on your face." Her bold action set his heart racing again. He wasn't satisfied with their drunken kiss the other night. That couldn't count as their first kiss. He wanted another. "Can you wipe mine too?" Esla Khan mimicked her, leaning closer. But he stopped abruptly. "That's not fair," he said, his face a mask of a Wei Chu, a mixture of grievance and feeling wronged. "Do you really not care at all?" Fear gripped him, leaving him unsure what to do. She, however, seemed unconcerned. Had he not made himself clear? It seemed he was the only one consumed by these anxieties. It was both embarrassing and upsetting. Unable to see Lacan's expression, Arya worried. He suddenly stood. He gently wiped her mouth, then turned and hurried away. Why did he run again? The next day, Arya started reading. The book said that if you want to get close to wild animals, you can't let them be afraid of you. He wouldn't let her run away again. This time, Lacan wouldn't even look at him. Hello, magician. How am I a magician again? She childishly avoided the question. Are you angry? No. Then why call me a magician? She still didn't answer. She reminded him of a sulking cat. He couldn't help but chuckle. I'm sorry. It's just that you're so cute. You find a lot of things cute. Although her ignoring his request made him want to sulk as soon as he heard Arya call him cute. His anger vanished. He didn't know that these worries were entirely unnecessary. Even if he's fierce and prone to violence, in Arya's eyes, he's more like a cute little kitten. Lacan, can you tell me why you're angry? She wondered if he'd be disappointed in himself and leave her if he told her the truth. Even he felt he was useless. How could he be so cheerful and warm? He must have been raised with a lot of love. But this monster, didn't understand. Just being looked at by her made him feel eternally grateful. But if he kept avoiding her, would she grow tired of him faster? Because I feel like you haven't taken my request seriously. What request? The one I mentioned yesterday. He suddenly understood. Wait, you weren't talking about the cooking progress. I thought it was about the cooking. You were talking about physical intimacy. The misunderstanding mortified Lacan. I'm sorry, I did something stupid. My Arya, did our pace being too fast upset you? He even brought up his embarrassing past. Where was the Lacan who said he wouldn't stop? That thought was instantly ripped apart and thrown away. Seeing him about to flee again, Arya grabbed him. Are you trying to run away again? One moment they were flirting, the next he'd beaten her brother to a pulp. Having a girlfriend who loved to tease him, Lacan was starting to learn her bad habits. Caught by Arya, he couldn't escape, but he didn't dare to pull away and hurt her. He decided to play along. With a bashful expression, he feigned pain. Ow, that hurts. Please let me go. She fell for it. Darn it, he got away again. Now he's even resorting to lying to escape. He was supposed to be the man, yet he was always the one being teased. Lacan peeked upstairs. Arya was making faces at him. He wasn't angry. That was good. He sighed. Arya continued her playful attempts to attract his attention, even as she saw him off in the morning. Lacan, though exasperated, wasn't annoyed. He even admired her spirit. But today, he wasn't leaving for work. The carriage headed deep into the forest, stopping in front of a mobile cabin. Unlike his usual demeanor, he was coldly aloof. The leader of the unit, awaiting someone's arrival, asked respectfully, "Should I tell Lady Blanche you've gone to the Imperial City?" He hadn't told Arya, nor did he want her to know. The object of his silent fury was her brother. Before Ron could finish his insolent words, he received a punch. Lacan flexed his fingers. Looks like you haven't come to your senses yet. Even on the battlefield, he rarely lost control like this. You animal, you dare lay a hand on my... Screams of pain echoed. Ron collapsed on the ground, unable to move. Lacan meticulously wiped the blood from his hands. I don't want to kill you, but remember this. The only reason I'm showing you mercy is because Arya hasn't given me permission to touch you. A few days later, Arya suddenly realized something. She'd been so preoccupied with teasing Lacan that their relationship hadn't progressed at all. Their 3-month courtship was down to just 10 weeks. Thinking about it, she decided to test the waters. You said we should take things slow. How slow are we talking? I hope as slow as possible. Lacan avoided her gaze. But I want to devour you right now. The serving maid dropped her tray. The old butler calmly left the young couple to themselves. They were alone in the dining hall. Lacan, you can't believe which one I mean? Of course, all of them. Hugs, kisses. Before she could finish, the man covered her mouth with his. Tormented to his limit, he finally confessed. You know, my body is rotting because of the curse. My skin is ulcerated and covered in scars. It wouldn't be strange to call me a monster. If Arya saw my body, she'd run away screaming. I would be so panicked, so helpless, I'd completely break down. So I'm sorry. It's still hard for me to be too intimate with you. He intended to discourage her. But if Arya's attitude doesn't change, then there's nothing I can do. I'll just have to work harder on your treatment. Seeing the stunned look on his face, she grabbed his hand. If you're worried about those things, I'll work even harder to help you evolve, so you won't have to be embarrassed anymore. The moment he heard those words, a warm current surged through him. An indescribable feeling bloomed in his chest. Is this love? His body was scarred and decaying. He endured immense pain, but the man had grown accustomed to it. He was even grateful, because this was how he met her. Arya calculated the evolution's progress. The upper body isn't finished yet. I have to hurry. After all, she was the only one who could help Eslican, just who cursed him with such a vicious affliction. Even falling in love with him seems like a struggle. Speaking of love, why does he always act so shy? Could this be his first time? She didn't want a serious relationship because she was going to die. She just wanted to spend her remaining 3 months peacefully, to die without regrets. So, the next day, she followed the old butler, hoping to inquire about Eslican's love life. But she stumbled upon something unexpected. The old butler, fearing his young master would be rejected for his inexperience, lied and claimed it wasn't his first time. This reassured Arya. Seeing him, she once again threw herself at him without hesitation. Eslican caught her steadily, reminding her like a father, running and jumping in the hallway is dangerous. Arya's mood soared. Eslican, hug me. Didn't you promise I could hug you? Eslican felt shy in the hallway. He started to say, there are too many people, maybe next time, but she pulled him away. Squeezed together in the small storage room. Even the temperature seemed to rise. Here, it's okay here, right? Arya grabbed his hand. She stood on tiptoe and pulled him into an embrace. Eslican carefully held her. Being hugged Sodudong Ly improved his mood. But the girl, who had just been giggling, suddenly sensed something was off. Something was pressing against her. Was he carrying a sword strapped to his leg? But it didn't feel like it. Arya's fidgeting made Eslican jolt. He abruptly pushed her away. He tried desperately to control himself. That's enough. Although Arya hadn't voiced her discovery, she was satisfied. Kitty's face is all red. He didn't notice that, did he? Unbeknownst to her, he had. He'd been worried last night. It seemed the curse hadn't affected that part of him. Eslican awkwardly looked away. You seem to be wearing that bracelet a lot lately. Is it pretty? It's a gift from Dao Xia. He realized his mistake as soon as he said it. The man seethed with jealousy. He shouldn't have held back. He shouldn't have been so restrained. But the book said being too possessive would annoy a lover. If he wanted a lasting relationship, he had to hold back. What if he showed his jealousy and angered Arya? Suppressing his jealousy, Eslican was unaware his expression had darkened further. Arya, startled, quickly explained, it's just imbued with divine power. It helps me stay healthy, that's all. Though he tried to appear indifferent, his smile only grew more menacing. Arya wasn't mistaken. Eslican was practically consumed with jealousy. Yet he still feigned nonchalance. Of course, friends can exchange gifts. Eslican hesitated for a moment. You can spend time with him when I'm busy. Touched by his apparent trust, Arya beamed. Eslican, you're the best. He certainly trusted Arya. The next day, however, misfortune struck. Friction arose with a neighboring country at the border, requiring Eslican to rush to the palace for a meeting. Be back soon, then, Arya said, shifting her weight nervously. Do you need to use the restroom? Eslican asked, then, seemingly out of nowhere, placed a hair ornament on her head. What's this? Arya inquired, her cheeks flushing. This is a gift for you. It's beautiful, and it suits you. His touch sent a blush creeping up her neck. So he had been bothered by the bracelet after all. How endearing, she thought. Just then, the coachman called out, Your Excellency, shouldn't you be leaving? You have to go to your meeting, Arya reminded him, preparing to say goodbye. But in the next moment, he turned and embraced her tightly. This is today's hug, he murmured, then, surprisingly shy for someone who had initiated the embrace, hurried away. The two parted ways reluctantly. Good day, miss, someone greeted. It's the first time I've seen you wear that, Dao Xia observed, referring to the hair ornament. It's very beautiful. Arya, her spirits high, replied, Of course it is. And look who gave it to me. She suggested, let's go out today. Does your beloved mind? Dao Xia asked. He said it was fine. He seems to trust me a lot. Hearing of their progress, Dao Xia felt a prickle of inexplicable annoyance. After their respective treatments, the two went into town together. They ate, shopped, and chatted animatedly. Because of the gift he had received from Dao Xia earlier, Arya decided to return the favor. You can have anything you want, he offered. I want that bracelet we saw earlier, Dao Xia replied. But that's so inexpensive. I like that one. And you helped me pick it out. In the end, he bought the bracelet as a gift. He fumbled with the clasp, feigning clumsiness. As expected, Arya reached out to help. Thank you, Dao Xia said. I really like it. What's that? He asked, gesturing to something on her wrist. This, Arya asked, a happy expression on her face. This is a gift for my beloved. He wished he hadn't asked, so she hadn't given a bracelet only to him. Just then, Dao Xia brought up a rumor. causing Arya to look slightly guilty. It wasn't her brother, was it? I heard that Duke Candel severed Marquis Segra's arm because he made improper advances towards the Duke's companion. Was that companion you miss? Dao Xia inquired. Arya admitted it was. This admission, however, filled her with worry. What if her parents found out? They would surely pursue Eslakan for taking her away. What unreasonable demands might they make? What if this caused Eslakan to resent her? Her face paled at the thought. Dao Xia looked at her with concern. Are you all right? Her voice trembled. Yet she insisted she was fine. I'm sorry. We were supposed to be having fun. It'll be all right, she reassured him. Trust me, you can rely on me. Despite appearances, I am your dedicated divine guardian, Mississippi. But aren't you a lower-ranked divine guardian? Do you think so little of me? Dao Xia asked, a hint of playful indignation in his voice. Then I'll just have to work harder and quickly ascend to middle rank. Seeing Arya finally relax and smile, Dao Xia continued. You should trust me and rely on me more. I will protect you, no matter what. I know. Just then, the wall above them suddenly exploded, showering them with debris. Because he was close to death when the rubble rained down on them, he willingly gave up his life, commanding basic magic. He layered barrier upon barrier, a dense, intricate weave of protection around Dao Xia. He had only one thought. At least let him live. With this serene resolve, he prepared to embrace death. His only regret was that he would never see Eslakan again. As he collapsed in his last moments, he saw Arya burst forth, a whirlwind of fury. The entire building crumbled into ruins. Arya blinked, her vision hazy. Is he alive? He had fallen, shielding Dao Xia with his body, the barrier miraculously protecting them both. The carefully constructed mask Eslakan usually wore finally shattered. Are you insane? He roared. Arya blinked again, relieved. Thank goodness, you're not hurt, Dao Xia choked out, unable to form a coherent sentence. Don't move yet, Arya warned. If the magic weakens, the debris will come down. I'm maintaining the spell. Don't worry. Even now, his thoughts were focused on protecting Dao Xia. Unable to comprehend his selflessness, Arya casually exerted her own divine power. With a flick of her wrist, the remaining stones tumbled harmlessly to the side. Why would you do something so stupid? What are you talking about? I'm asking you. Why did you only use the protective magic on me? Neither of them understood the other. He had clearly saved Dao Xia, yet he was being scolded. Unable to reveal his impending death, Eslakan grasped for another explanation. Because you're my friend. Dao Xia thought he was mad. They had only met a few times, yet Eslakan had risked his life to save him. He had never trusted another's kindness, believing it to be a facade motivated by selfish desires. But why would Eslakan sacrifice himself to protect him? Could someone truly be so selfless? Arya clapped her hands, interrupting his thoughts. Well, the important thing is we're both alive. That's lucky. You're amazing. You were able to lift the building debris. Small scrapes littered Arya's arms. Dao Xia paused for a moment. Are you hurt? I'm fine. What about you? I use magic to protect myself, so of course I'm fine. Arya sighed in relief. That's good. But her words only fueled Dao Xia's frustration. He was clearly injured, yet he insisted he was fine. As he healed Eslakan, he couldn't help but speak. You almost died, you know. It's all right. Everyone dies eventually. Thank you for healing me. No, Miss Arya, you can't die. He gripped her arm tightly. Did you think I would just stand there and watch you die? He could tolerate her affections for another. After all, he had time. He would have plenty of opportunities, but he would never let her die. Don't get hurt again. Seeing his serious expression, Arya nodded in agreement. Dao Xia looked around. Even a dilapidated building wouldn't collapse without a cause. It seemed someone had targeted him. How brazen. Arya had never seen him look like this before. Indeed, everyone had a hidden side. Still, it was a relief that no one was seriously injured. When he returned to the Duke's mansion, tired from walking, Eslakan rushed to greet him. His fatigue seemed to vanish instantly. He embraced Arya tightly, nuzzling against her. My hug for the day. Didn't we hug this morning? I don't care. I want another one. Eslakan gently returned her embrace. But in the next moment, his expression darkened. What happened today? Arya's casual words nearly sent him spiraling into darkness. You smell of dust. Did something happen? If he told the truth, there would be trouble. Besides, he didn't want Eslakan to worry. I'm fine. I probably just fell on the way. Are you hurt? Just a few scrapes. Dao Xia already healed me. Arya carefully examined him, making sure he was truly unharmed. Did you have fun today? Very much. Now, it was Lacan's turn to be displeased. He drew out his words, a hint of petulance in his voice. Is that so? I still prefer being with you. Holding Lacan close, Arya thought, how can he be so adorable? I need to help him evolve his curse soon. Because only he understood the depths of Lacan's suffering. He wished for Lacan to be free from the curse as soon as possible, to find happiness even after he was gone. The moment he was nearly crushed by the collapsing building, he realized that if he died, perhaps no one would be able to cure him. He couldn't let that happen. So even if it meant pushing himself to his limits, he had to lift the curse. Are you really all right? You don't look well, Arya said. I'm fine, he lied. But in truth, yesterday's incident had nearly depleted his spiritual energy. He was terrified. More than facing death, he feared dying before he could cure Lacan. Arya, are you all right? I feel so cold. Panic flared in Lacan, a flicker of fear in his eyes. I'll get you something to cover you with. I think you should soak in some hot water. I'll find a servant to help you bathe. But Arya caught his hand. Unless it's someone I trust, I won't let them help me bathe. So could you help me? What? Lacan could barely imagine it, unsure where he'd even look. Arya, her face etched with discomfort, clarified, I just want you to keep me company, and I'll be wearing clothes. He looked so pained, and it was all because of her. Now wasn't the time for shy reluctance. Steam curled from the bath. Is the water all right? The temperature is fine, but do you really have to do this? Lacan answered without hesitation. Yes, I have to, he muttered under his breath, even if it's just for me. Dissatisfied, Arya grabbed his hand. He instantly recoiled, about to leave. I'm warning you, if you run away this time, I'll run away too, far away. Lacan stopped, a strange expression spreading across his face. Are you serious? Arya was taken aback. How can you say that? The air thickened. Fear didn't even begin to describe what he felt. It was chilling. I mean, in this blessed land, running away, like playing hide and seek from a monster. He softened. You meant the kind of running away? Of course. Lacan began to apologize profusely. I misunderstood. I almost considered tying you up. He'd nearly been restrained, but he assumed she was joking. Seeing him back to normal, Arya's playful nature returned. A mischievous grin spread across her face. So, will you wash my hair? She watched him turn from a blushing tomato to a pale ghost. She was laughing internally, almost hysterically. I can't tease him anymore. Just help me wash my hair. That he could do. Lacan washed her hair carefully. It kept his mind from wandering. He noticed a prominent scar hidden beneath her hair. How did you get this scar? My brother pushed me down the stairs when I was little, but he said I pushed him first, and I ended up being the one scolded. It's nothing really. She spoke casually, as if she were used to such treatment. Lacan barely suppressed the urge to lash out. You should have broken the man's hands. Arya closed her eyes, lost in memory. I remember they locked me in a dark room. I just stared at the closed door, whispering, open the door. Open the door. I was terrified but didn't dare cry out, because Mother said it was to strengthen my spirit. That's why she punished me. All I could do was wait. Arya gave a self-deprecating laugh. Lacan, do you hate the color of my hair? Do a lot of people hate pink? They say it hurts their eyes to look at it. Who said such nonsense? Just tell me. I'll go right now and rip that guy's tongue out. Arya gave a soft, dismissive laugh. Just kidding. Come on, answer my question. How could I possibly hate it? I love it. His expression turned serious, almost reverent. Love it. Then is my hair beautiful? Is it just my hair that's beautiful? Lacan's blush crept up to the tips of his ears. He answered earnestly, everything is beautiful. Arya reached out and took his hand. Then kiss the place you think is most beautiful, okay? Lacan's eyes widened, his body trembling with a thrill he couldn't contain. His heart felt like it was about to leap from his chest. He hesitated for a moment. Finally, he lifted a strand of her hair and kissed it. But there's nothing about you that isn't beautiful. So am I supposed to kiss you all over? Arya teased. Well, you could start with the place you want to kiss the most. He gently wrapped his arms around her, drawing her closer, inch by inch. Closing his eyes, he kissed her. It was the first time they had connected with such pure understanding. A kiss devoid of any desire, simply an expression of pure affection. He didn't know how to describe this feeling. It was both bittersweet and overwhelmingly sweet. What do we do next? Arya suddenly cupped his face in her hands. Pressing her forehead against his, she smiled. You did great. Let's kiss again next time. Elsewhere, A muscular man was trying to pick a fight with her boyfriend, but he was no match for Eslican. He tried to push him away, but Eslican wouldn't budge. He invited him for a drink, but Eslican just wanted to buy him clothes. Then help me put them on? The shop owner offered. I can help you with that, sir. So annoying. He has no sense of romance whatsoever. Hitting him only hurt Aria's own hand. Eslican, looking smug, asked, "Are you giving me a massage?" The shadow troop leader searched in the corner. "I'll be right back." He entered the clothing store alone. It was supposed to be a perfect day, but he ran into his mother there. "Aria, where have you been all this time? I've been so worried about you." "Worried about me? Yet you have the leisure to get a massage with expensive fragrances, and then go shopping for clothes." His mother frantically explained, Aria cut her off. "This whole time, I haven't seen a single missing person poster for me. You know, I couldn't do anything about this." Watching her deflect responsibility only deepened his disappointment. "Stop making excuses. Even when you could have done something, you didn't do anything, did you?" The nauseating feeling surged again. The person who should have been his closest family only brought him pain. He couldn't take it anymore. Aria turned and left. He ran through the streets, wanting to get as far away from it all as possible. The next moment, someone grabbed his arm. Seeing his expression, the man's face instantly softened. "Who made you cry?" The question soothed his frayed nerves. "I wasn't crying. I just missed you so much, so I came out." Eslican knew he was lying, but he didn't ask any questions. He just held him tight. "Let's go home." But did he even have a home? In that moment, he was almost grateful for his terminal illness. Back at the Duke's mansion, Aria felt strangely detached. Even when Eslican actively sought his embrace, he couldn't muster any enthusiasm. Eslican longed to stay by his side, but he had an important memory to retrieve. He wished Aria would just talk to him. The source of Aria's low spirits was a letter from his mother. The letter was full of apologies and regrets for not taking better care of him, and promises that such things would never happen again. "Can I see Mother again? Why is she saying these things now?" A few days later, he arrived at the appointed meeting place. Mother's face was alight with joy. She placed the food in front of him, urging him to eat more. Before, she would only scold him for eating too much. She'd even send him back to his room to eat alone because his brother didn't like it. "Don't you have something to say?" she asked. Mother turned her head. Aside from the initial apology, everything she said was about Aria's departure, how he was sick and no one was there to care for him, and a litany of complaints. Father should have left. She blamed him for not disciplining their daughter properly. Faced with his mother's incessant chatter, he couldn't take it anymore. "I heard your apology," he interrupted, "but I'm not coming back." She's just like she always was, completely unchanged. His mother didn't try to stop him physically, but instead looked down, muttering something he couldn't quite hear. In the moment he turned away, countless hands dragged him into darkness. He was beaten black and blue by his father. Handcuffs were clamped onto his wrists, and he was locked in his room. His mother had deceived him again. A girl was struck unconscious by a shadowy figure. A man appeared in the room. Watching his daughter being dragged into the darkness, he sneered. Turning to his wife, he said triumphantly, "See, I told you." An apology was never the way to bring a runaway daughter home. The scraping of chains echoed in the room. Aria spent the entire night trying to open the handcuffs, but even until her wrists bled, she made no progress. They were magic-restricting cuffs, specifically designed for prisoners. How ironic. This was her family. The door remained firmly shut. The room was filled with unpleasant memories. She had been starving for 2 days and had little strength left. Was she truly incapable of doing anything? A familiar voice called from outside the door, "Miss?" It was Annie, her maid. "Are you all right?" Aria leaned against the door, whispering that she was fine. She asked after Annie's well-being. "I'm all right, but miss, what are you going to do?" "The master is furious. He says he won't spare you when morning comes." Aria gave a bitter laugh. Annie fought back tears. "I'll find someone to help." "No, what if you get dragged into this?" Annie had always regretted watching the young miss grow up, seeing her mistreated and never being able to help. "This time, I don't want to regret anything. Please, let me do something for you. I'll go find Joel the mage." Aria pounded on the door. She wanted to stop Annie, but the girl had already run off. She sat by the door, waiting from dawn till dusk. Still, no one came. She needed to conserve her strength. Just as she closed her eyes, the door was thrown open with a crash. It was her father and brother. She was shocked by the state of her brother's face. What a gruesome sight. Her father walked towards her. "I locked you up so you could reflect, but it seems you haven't repented at all." Aria swayed as she stood. "Why should I repent? I haven't done anything wrong." This only fueled her father's rage. Done nothing wrong. He didn't finish his sentence. A slap sent her crashing to the floor. The pain made her body tremble. Her father grabbed her again. You say you've done nothing wrong? His question was punctuated by another blow. The crack of thunder mingled with the sickening thud of her body, masking the sounds of the beating. She lay on the floor, barely conscious. I spent so much money raising you, and you dare run away to that monster's house? You humiliated me, and that monster beat your brother to a pulp. You won't leave this room until you've learned your lesson. Ron sneered. Look at you now. Do you know how much humiliation I've suffered because of you? Ron snarled, grabbing his sister, Aria, by the collar, wanting to savor the look of fear and despair in her eyes. But instead of terror, he was met with defiance and loathing. In the next instant, Aria lunged at him. Seeing his beloved covered in wounds sent Eslakon into a frenzy. Aria might not fight back against her father, but her brother was a different story. He sank his teeth into Ron's hand. The man's screams echoed through the room. Terror seized Ron. He recoiled from his sister, spitting, You madman. The insult was followed by a look of pure fear. Aria glared at him fiercely, spitting out a piece of flesh. The action sent her father stumbling back in horror. He scrambled out of the room, whimpering. He's gone mad, spending time with that monster. He's become a monster too. Outside the door stood Joel, the tutor Annie had mentioned. He glanced at Aria before closing the door. Aria collapsed, her body throbbing with pain. But even the pain couldn't eclipse her longing to see Eslakon again. She yearned to hold him. Tears soaked the floor as she whispered his nickname, Kitty. Annie's voice broke through her despair. Miss Aria, Duke Candel is here. He's downstairs now. The maid's face was grim. A closer look revealed the dark circles under the Duke's eyes and the disarray of his usually impeccable hair. Ron, oblivious to the impending doom, remained arrogant. How dare you come here without announcing yourself? You're incredibly rude. Gerald, ever the protective servant, barked. You impudent fool. Eslakon stepped forward. I'm here for my lover. Ron feigned ignorance. I don't know what you're talking about. Eslakon's voice was steely. I said, I'm here for Aria. Duke Blanche, are you suggesting you intend to steal my daughter? Before Ron could finish his sentence, a chill ran down his spine. He finally realized Eslakon wasn't asking for permission. It would be wise to let me take her. I'm prepared to face any consequences to get her back. Aria, summoning her strength, struggled to her feet. Annie whispered, Master Joel told me. He sent a telegram to Duke Candel. Aria looked down towards the floor below. It was him. Eslakon had come for her. Gripping the nearby curtains, she pulled them down with a determined glint in her eyes. Wrapping the curtain around her right hand, she punched through the window, shattering the glass into a cascade of sharp shards. Uncaring of the danger, she stepped onto the jagged glass. Eslakon, she cried. The man below turned, his eyes meeting hers. Without hesitation, Aria climbed onto the window ledge. She leaped. At the same moment, Eslakon rushed towards her. Joel, using a levitation spell, slowed Aria's descent. Eslakon's arms opened wide, catching her in a tight embrace. She was finally back in his arms. He gently cupped her face, his touch tender. Then, a wave of murderous intent erupted from him. Who dared to hurt you? He turned, his eyes blazing. Ron stumbled back, fear etched on his face. Eslakon's body erupted in a cloud of dark mist. He didn't care that they were Aria's family. At that moment, he had only one thought: kill them. He had thought it was a game of love, but he had fallen deeply. He loved Eslakon, and, miraculously, Eslakon loved him back. He had even contemplated destroying Aria's family. He would pay any price to bring Aria back. The urge to destroy everything was overwhelming. But Aria's voice soothed him. Eslakon, let's go. I want to go home. Back to our home. Eslakon's emotions surged, so powerful they made his eyes tremble. Back to our home. Aria's father, jolted from his fear, sputtered. Where do you think you're taking my daughter? His voice was a venomous hiss, directed at Eslakon. Aria turned her face away. The wound on her cheek, inflicted by her father, now pulsed with a fiery pain. Had he truly struck her so hard? The girl looked at Joel, the mage, offering a silent thank you in her heart. She wouldn't forget this kindness. As the carriage lurched forward, Eslakon immediately unlocked the handcuffs. Back at the Duke's mansion, the old steward frantically summoned a cleric. Aria stayed close, clinging to Eslakon's side. Arya embraced him tightly. "Thank you for coming for me." Esla Khan's heart ached with tenderness. She was hurt, yet instead of reproach, she offered him gratitude. Learning of what Arya had endured, he had contemplated destroying her family home. Esla Khan bowed his head. Arya's voice, thick with apology, reached him. "I'm sorry. I came late." A warmth spread through his chest. The words tumbled out before he could stop them. "May I kiss you? I want to so much right now. If you wish." "Of course." Arya slowly leaned in. Closing her eyes, she savored the moment. Esla Khan kissed her with a gentle reverence. Suddenly, he felt her tremble. He pulled back instantly. "Does your wound hurt?" But she caught his hand. "Not enough. Don't stop." As the kiss deepened, he swept her into his arms. Their hearts pounded against each other until Arya pulled away, breathless. "Are you tired?" he asked, his own breath catching. "But it's not enough for me." He held her close, pleading, "Can I continue?" It's never enough, no matter what. He wanted all of her from head to toe completely. Then she would be truly his. Arya cupped his face in her hands. "I love you." The words hung in the air, a momentous confession. In that moment, she realized the depth of her love for Esla Khan. Even knowing how their story might end, she couldn't help but fall for him. Esla Khan responded, his voice husky, "I love you too." His thoughts were consumed by her, every moment of every day. For the first time in his life, he looked forward to the sunrise, to the next day. For the first time, he understood how precious each day truly was. A single word from her could send his spirits soaring to the heavens or plummeting to the depths of despair. Seeing her injured felt like his own heart was being torn to shreds. No words could express the depth of his feelings. He vowed silently, "Arya, I will love you with my life, even if it leaves me broken and scarred." He couldn't refuse her. Yet he stopped. He was desperate, frantic with desire. But not now. He feared his curse would taint her. But he couldn't bear to let her go. Nothing felt sufficient to express the immensity of his love. The steward burst in. "Master, miss, the cleric has arrived." The air crackled with tension. Esla Khan's face was a mask of fury. "Who did this?" he demanded. Seeing Arya's reluctance to speak, he sighed in exasperation. "Didn't I tell you not to get hurt? Clearly, you didn't listen." He noticed the bracelet he had given her was missing from her swollen wrist. Arya self-consciously hid her hand. "It was so beautiful. I didn't want it to get damaged." His mood darkened further, a storm of anger brewing within him. Her lips, especially, seemed to taunt him. He abruptly pulled her close. Ignoring his own decree, he pressed his forehead against hers once more, beginning to heal her. "Could it be your lover?" Dawa ventured. "Of course not," Arya retorted quickly. "I was kidnapped, that's why I'm like this." Seeing her flustered explanation, Dawa gave a mischievous grin. "I didn't say anything," he replied, though inwardly his pride was slightly stung. Just a few days ago, he was talking about protecting her. Duke Candel is truly unbelievable. The healing magic quickly took effect. Dawa grasped Arya's arm, his touch sending a shiver through her. "Does it still hurt?" he asked. "It doesn't hurt. I'm fine." Noticing her flinch, he released his grip. "You must wear the bracelet from now on. The healing only works if you wear it. Your face is injured too." Arya tried to turn away, but he gently stopped her. "Don't move. It's quite swollen." His closeness, his concern, ignited a spark within Dawa. The desire to possess her reached a fever pitch. If he succumbed to his impulses, he knew he would despise himself. Yet, a part of him whispered that it might not be so bad. But he wasn't ready to jeopardize the delicate beauty of their burgeoning connection. Arya suddenly whimpered, drawing Dawa's attention. He noticed something was wrong with her foot. The location of the injury was awkward. Wanting to shield her from further discomfort, Dawa crouched down. "You can't just leave it like this," he murmured. He began to carefully remove the shards of glass from the sole of her foot. "It's quite dirty," she whispered, embarrassed. She hadn't wanted Dawa to do this for her. She had naively believed he had been raised with nothing but tenderness. But she was beginning to understand that perhaps everyone carried hidden wounds within their hearts. Meanwhile, Esla Khan's healing session with Joel was nearing its end. "You seem to be pushing yourself too hard. I'm a little worried." Their last encounter had left Joel unable to face Esla Khan with his usual composure. Especially now, seeing him like this. He had performed this healing countless times. Yet, as Esla Khan removed his shirt and knelt before Joel, an unprecedented awkwardness settled between them. After their shared confession, it was difficult not to read more into the situation. The magical energy completely dispelled the curse. leaving his skin smooth and unblemished. Joel happily announced, "The curse on my upper body is completely gone." Khan stared at Joel's body in astonishment. He felt a surge of genuine gratitude towards Arya. The pain that had plagued him for nearly 20 years was simply gone. "It's too early to thank me," Joel said, a playful smile touching his lips. "I'll heal you completely soon." Wait, his lower body? How was he supposed to heal that? Did he expect him to take off his trousers? He quickly backtracked. "The next stage of healing will take a long time. Let's rest for now," which meant they would address it later. He was digging himself deeper. Joel was even more embarrassed now. After a long pause, he finally blurted out, "That Arya is fine. I was afraid you might misunderstand." Arya was mortified. Her face burned crimson. Seeing her about to flee, Joel instantly regretted his words. Then, Arya's stomach rumbled, betraying her at the worst possible moment. "Let's go eat," Khan suggested gently. Later that night, Arya tossed and turned in bed. After receiving her terminal diagnosis, she had met so many kind people. Khan, Dawa, and most importantly, Annie and Joel. She longed to bring them with her, but she was dependent on others herself. How could she possibly do that? If she hadn't learned about her illness, she might have foolishly devoted her entire life to her family. Now, she was tormented by happiness. Because she was so happy, she didn't want to die. She loved Khan's smile, the adorable side of him that only she knew, and the subtle hints of possessiveness he sometimes revealed. She truly loved him, but he didn't seem madly in love with her. Even if she died, he would probably be fine. After all, they had only been lovers for 3 months. He had found a happiness he'd always yearned for. Yet, it only brought him more pain. A crippling anxiety, accompanied by the rumble of thunder, felt like it would shatter the windows. He saw that dreaded figure again. The incessant thunderclaps grated on Arya's nerves, stirring memories of abuse and fear. He had to escape. Someone save him. The long corridor stretched endlessly, like a scene without a cut. The moment he reached Khan's room, the man opened the door. His terrified appearance alarmed Khan. "What happened?" "It's cold outside. Come in first. Would you like some tea? Are you feeling unwell?" Arya struggled to compose himself. "I'm scared of the thunder, but I think I'm more afraid of being alone." Another flash of lightning, and he flinched, burying himself in Khan's arms. Khan seemed to understand. The small, trembling form held tight against him. His heart ached as he returned the embrace. Time seemed to stand still. His girlfriend slept beside him, but he remained on guard. A moment of softness had left him staring at the ceiling until dawn. Those who had experienced war carried indelible scars. Even he had a past he couldn't forget. Seeing Arya like this filled him with an unbearable tenderness. "Can I stay here tonight? Just hold your hand." Before Khan could answer, Arya backtracked. "It's probably not okay, right? I'm sorry. It was a strange request." He started to get up to leave, but another lightning strike and a deafening clap of thunder sent him reeling back into fear. Khan pulled him back into his arms, his gaze complex as he looked at Arya. He knew Arya cared. "It's all right now." "Thank you." Finally, he reached out and touched Arya's face. "Sleep in my room." The young couple lay together, neither able to sleep. "Don't worry, I won't do anything," Khan reassured him. "I'm not worried," Arya poked him. "You're lying. I can tell." This only made Khan more uncomfortable. He tried to protect himself, but it only made him more tempting to tease. Arya reached out a mischievous hand. Unable to resist, Khan flipped over, pinning Arya beneath him. "Don't make me do something to you. Please." He wasn't afraid, but with another rumble of thunder, Arya began to tremble again. Had he been joking all along? Feigning bravery despite his fear. "Why do you always, when you want to rely on me, insist on being strong?" Khan murmured. "If you could just trust me a little more, entrust yourself completely to me, maybe this anxious uncertainty you feel would disappear." The architect of all of Arya's misery was beginning to face the consequences. After the kidnapping, no cleric would heal Ron. Ron's father remembered the Duke's warning. It was better to keep quiet than to have rumors spread about him abusing his daughter. And his good-for-nothing son had been startled by Gerald while descending the stairs, breaking his arm in the fall. Even now, he felt no remorse for his daughter. He only thought about how, with that brat gone, there was no one to heal his son. He had no choice but to go to the temple himself. Unbeknownst to him, this would lead to an even greater mistake. Ron's father caused a scene at the temple, but no one would treat his son. Suddenly, the temple priest began to bustle as a high-ranking priest appeared. This was Dawa, the next pope. Now, it was finally his turn to avenge the girl, Aria. The brother who had harmed his sister would face retribution once more. However, this was only the beginning, because the temple priests couldn't heal Ron. Ron's father brought his son to the temple for healing. Dawa arrived fashionably late. After all, the man before him was the next pope. Even Ron's father spoke respectfully. "Forgive my intrusion, but my son urgently needs treatment. I took the liberty of coming directly." Dawa's face was impassive. It was he who had instructed the priests not to heal Ron. But in a blink, he resumed his usual amiable facade. "It seems my subordinates have been remiss. To express my apologies, I will personally attend to his treatment." Ron's father, fawning, replied, "You personally? What honor." Dawa was notoriously proud. Even Duke Candel couldn't request his healing services. If Ron's father could establish a good relationship with the next pope, perhaps he could revive his family's fortunes. He urged his son to seize the opportunity. He was unaware that he had raised Ron to be arrogant and oblivious. After closing the door, Dawa inquired, "Ron, how were you injured?" "I tripped," Ron mumbled. Dawa moved closer. He grasped Ron's hand. "And these bite marks, too?" In Dawa's eyes, even Aria's bite marks were endearing. Ron, still unaware of the impending doom, yanked his hand back aggressively. Dawa smiled sweetly and apologized. He casually healed the bite marks. He wouldn't allow the girl's mark to remain on another man, not even her brother. Ron, choosing this moment to seal his fate, lashed out, calling Dawa a low-born wretch. Though the next pope, Dawa was indeed the son of a street urchin. "You think I don't know about your background?" Dawa sneered. Duke Candel was far too lenient. For someone so arrogant and lacking in self-awareness, he should have at least crippled all your limbs. Ron, enraged, lunged at Dawa with a fist. Not only was it easily dodged, but Ron found himself thrown to the ground. "How did you dodge that?" Dawa mocked him, using Ron's own words. "A street urchin. How could I not dodge such a clumsy attack? Your fancy fighting style is nothing compared to what I've done to survive." Ron felt a wave of dizziness. His body was paralyzed. Dawa smiled, a chillingly pleasant expression. "Dizzy? What have you done to me? I've merely tangled your spirit circuits. If left untreated, you'll burst into flames and die within a few months. Isn't that amusing? You madman. Unless someone stronger than you intervenes, I can't be cured. Of course, such a person has yet to appear. So you'd best be smart." The will to live forced Ron to beg for mercy. Dawa warned, "If you ever lay a hand on Aria again, that will be your end." Aria sincerely thanked God that she could wake up to see Eslacon's handsome face. "But you look so tired. Did he not sleep well last night?" Eslacon sat up and denied it. In truth, he hadn't slept at all. But he couldn't tell her, fearing she would feel burdened. He quickly changed the subject. "What are you doing today?" Aria threw back the covers, revealing her alluring figure. "I'm going to visit Dawa today." Eslacon, confronted with this sight first thing in the morning, turned crimson. He stammered, "Gee, go ahead." Aria smiled radiantly. "Of course, I'll be back early to see you. To sleep together." Eslacon nearly lost his mind. Could he endure another night? A girlfriend too forward wasn't always a good thing, especially when he was already at his limit. Sleep-deprived, Eslacon stepped out of the room only to be met by the tearful butler, who looked at him as if he'd finally become a man. It irritated Eslacon immensely. "I knew this day would come," Eslacon mused. "What should we do about the wedding?" "Which day should we choose?" he continued, a faint smile playing on his lips. "And the dress, it must be to Aria's liking." The old butler's enthusiastic chatter threatened to drown him in a tide of wedding plans. "What color should we paint the nursery?" the butler rambled on. "If it's a girl, how about gold?" Eslacon clapped a hand over the old man's mouth. "Ningxia, please, enough." "But why not?" Ningxia protested, his voice muffled. "It's going to be so busy soon. I need to prepare in advance. Marriage is a lifelong commitment." Eslacon sighed. Marriage. He scoffed internally. What did he know of marriage? Was it even possible for someone like him? Why did he have? But then, the thought of Aria surfaced, a gentle warmth blooming in his chest. Despite his reservations, a flicker of hope ignited within him. The idea of marrying her, exchanging vows, promising forever, it was a tempting dream. "It's too early to think about that," he said to the butler, his voice regaining its usual composure. "I have no plans to marry at the moment." Ningxia looked as if he'd been struck by lightning. But haven't you consummated the relationship? I haven't done anything that requires me to take responsibility, Esla Khan stated flatly. The butler's carefully constructed wedding plans crumbled before his eyes. Perhaps, he thought, his young master had been too busy on the battlefield. No one had ever taught him about these things. But that was all right. He could start teaching him now. Meanwhile, Arya arrived at the temple, inquiring about Dawa. The junior priest at the entrance was clueless. Arya described Dawa as a handsome man with silver hair. The only person fitting that description in the entire temple was the red-haired, so-called next pope. He appeared, breathless and flustered. I know, I'll take you to him, the junior priest stammered. Inside the temple, gold glittered everywhere. The next pope lives in such opulent quarters? He must be incredibly wealthy, Arya thought. Dawa, still recovering from his hurried change of clothes, greeted her with feigned surprise. Why didn't you contact me beforehand? I did it on purpose, Arya admitted with a playful grin. Surprise? Terribly so, Dawa replied, his heart still racing. So what brings you here? I wanted to thank you for healing me yesterday, Arya began, and I have another favor to ask. A flicker of disappointment crossed Dawa's face. Was she just another person trying to use him? To his surprise, Arya simply wanted to learn magic from him. But I'm an ex-pope, he sputtered. Divine power and spiritual power are similar, Arya explained. And I'm an essence mage. I have a lot of spiritual power, but I've never learned to use it properly. She didn't want to feel so helpless anymore. I need to be able to stand on my own, she continued, her gaze meeting Dawa's. I believe in you, and you're the only one I can ask. A strange smile spread across Dawa's face. If I agree to your request, he began, leaning closer, will you agree to mine, no matter what it is? Ever the helpful servant, Ningxia chimed in, for the young master's happiness. Arya, however, sensed Dawa's manipulative intent. She wasn't falling for it. I agree to any condition, she declared, her expression serious. Isn't this like a scam marriage contract? She thought. What if he asked me to write with my butt or sing and dance in the streets? Arya's earnest concern amused Dawa. He chuckled. All right, let's be clear. I'll teach you magic, and in return, you'll agree to my request, within reason. You'll decide based on your conscience, he added. That sounded reasonable enough. Arya felt a surge of motivation. Since we've agreed, let's start today, she suggested eagerly. Dawa found Arya increasingly intriguing. He wanted to get closer to her, to unravel her secrets. But a part of him feared the inevitable boredom, the loss of interest that always followed. He always devoured the tastiest treats first. Just as he was about to agree to Arya's proposal, an unexpected interruption occurred. Someone was looking for him. It seems to be that old man, Dawa muttered under his breath. I apologize, but I'm unavailable today. Arya didn't mind. They could schedule another session. Dawa, pretending to be a low-ranking priest, mimicked the junior priest's earlier behavior, practically bowing and scraping before the newcomer. The other priest, his forced smile threatening to crack his face, finally departed. Once Arya was gone, the two priests began to critique each other's performances. Your acting was terrible, the junior priest remarked. I'm not a seasoned veteran like you, Master Mikhail, Dawa retorted. It was that old man again. The Pope's health has been failing lately. They fear he'll become the next Pope. They're trying to find a way to restrain him. Meanwhile, the two returned home. Their reunion was a loving embrace. Although Arya was the one who rushed towards him, in truth, Esla Khan cared for her more than she realized. He'd been bored all day. He only felt happy when he was with her. The butler began his matchmaking scheme. Using the excuse that the servants had washed all the blankets, he suggested Arya continue sleeping in the Duke's room. Esla Khan protested. Then just go buy some new ones. We are already looking, the butler replied, but high-quality ones need to be ordered in advance. We can't give a young lady something inferior. Then give her mine, Esla Khan offered. Arya disagreed. How can I take your blanket? It's all right. It's better than you catching a cold. The old butler was speechless. The two went back and forth, neither cooperating with him. Defeated, he decided to try his luck with Arya. So, miss, could you spend another night with the master? Arya readily agreed. Seeing Esla Khan's flustered expression, she teased, Don't you want to sleep with me? A blush crept across his face. How could that be? Then, let's have dinner first. Don't worry, I promise I won't go looking for anyone like last night. But for Esla Khan, that wasn't the problem at all. He figured, as long as he held back, he would be fine. He could do this. That night, he paced nervously in his bedroom. A knock came at the door. It was Arya. She greeted him cheerfully. I brought a gift. Guess what flavor cake this is? He rarely ate such things. Cream. Correct. One asked childishly. The other indulged her unconditionally. When Arya asked if he liked cream cake, even though Eslakan didn't, he said he did, because he decided, starting today, he would. Arya cut a small piece of cake. She took a bite. It's so delicious. Getting some on her cheek, she turned to find a napkin. But Arya's face was gently turned back towards him. They were close, their bodies almost touching. Eslakan seemed transformed. Didn't you say this was originally for wiping a lover's face? He was usually the one taking the initiative. But when Eslakan got serious, Arya became apprehensive. His gaze was intense, as if he wanted to devour her. She pushed him away. I don't want it anymore. I'm full. But Arya couldn't escape him so easily. I'm still hungry. He pulled her close, holding her until she could barely breathe. He finally released her, looking at her flushed face and laughing softly. Now I'm full. Arya, feeling both embarrassed and flustered, fell back onto the soft bed. For some reason, she felt strangely happy. Eslakan, I'll finish your evolution soon. He immediately lay down beside her. What do you want to do after the evolution is complete? She didn't answer. After bidding him goodnight, she closed her eyes and fell asleep. He watched her sleep. My Arya, as long as you stay by my side, I can suppress my desires and ugly possessiveness. But that thought lasted only 3 seconds before being shattered. The woman he loved was sleeping right next to him. How could he possibly resist? He tried to slip away, but he was afraid of waking her. Resigned, he shifted his lower body back, only to have her throw a leg over him, pinning him down. He was going crazy. Someone, please, have mercy on him. Morning arrived as expected. Arya was radiant, but he hadn't slept again. The thoughtful butler delivered a letter, explaining that because of the heavy rain in the morning, the blankets were still damp. He requested Eslakan continue sleeping there for a few more days. Breakfast would be brought to the bedroom. Eslakan had only one thought: I should just kill him. Finally, on the 4th day, he succumbed to exhaustion and fell asleep. Arya watched him sleep, reluctant to open her own eyes. Even asleep, he was so beautiful and national treasure. Eslakan suddenly let out a suppressed groan. His face contorted in pain as he muttered, "Stop, mother." She had heard rumors about him. It was said that his parents had died when he was very young. Overnight, his family's wealth and honor had been seized by relatives. Young Esla, burdened by his cursed body, wandered the battlefields. How difficult it must have been for him. All she could do for him was to help lift the curse. She would cleanse him both body and soul. Then Eslakan could live an ordinary, happy life, just like everyone else. Even if I leave, you can still live happily. Suddenly, her wrist was caught. Eslakan had woken up. What did you just say? Did you say you were going to leave me? Where could I go? I thought I heard you say you were leaving. He pulled her closer and began to coax her back to sleep. Where could I go without you? But sadness began to prick at her heart. The contract had only a month left. She truly didn't want to be separated from him. Thankfully, Eslakan only liked her. He didn't love her. Even in his sleep, the man continued to murmur, "You have to stay with me, okay?" "I will," she added silently. "Until the contract ends, I will stay with you." Eslakan woke up in the morning, feeling as though he'd had a pleasant dream, though he couldn't quite recall it. Arya was sleeping on his back. "Did you sleep well? Judging by your current state, it seems we can start cleansing your lower body." The suggestion left them both incredibly embarrassed. For a young couple who had just confessed their feelings, this was indeed a difficult topic. Just stepping outside, he was flirted with again. It was an old acquaintance. That morning, the two had agreed to cleanse his lower body another day. Even mentioning it made the usually forward girl blush and hide her face. And because of the recent signs of war from a neighboring country, it was difficult for him to spend time with her. Arya suddenly turned. From now on, let's do everything together, no matter what. Eslakan's mind began to race. Surely she wouldn't make any unreasonable requests. Seeing her nod obediently, Arya smiled brightly. She still had so many wishes she wanted to fulfill. She wanted to see Madame Belle. Because of the previous incident, Eslakan had assigned Gerard to be her bodyguard. Madame Belle apologized for delivering the letter last time. He decided that from now on, he would not receive Blanche, except for Arya. "It's all right. It wasn't your fault, madam. But do you have a guest?" He was about to excuse himself when the person inside came out. "Long time no see, Miss Blanche. Your Imperial Highness." The handsome blonde before him was actually an imperial princess. She had once been famous for her beauty. The emperor, among many suitors, had chosen Ron for her. Back then, Blanche hadn't yet transitioned, but the two despised each other. The brother found the imperial princess too arrogant. The imperial princess looked down on men who were beneath her. You're nothing but a little brat who can't even beat me in a fight. Ron was left speechless with rage. Even if you're stronger than the other princes, so what? You still have to be my wife. In the end, Ron was sent flying by a single punch from her. Their engagement was broken off. They hadn't seen each other for 5 years, because after that, she had intentionally avoided him. He hadn't expected her to have changed so completely. I didn't mean to burden you, but you and Donbeer seem to have a deep connection. It's because he helped me. He was almost blinded by her beauty. You've changed so much, Miss Blanche. Since she had been removed from the family registry, there was no need to worry about her family's opinions and keep her distance from the imperial princess anymore. Thinking this, he stepped forward. Please call me Arya. This pleased the imperial princess immensely. Of course, Arya. She gently caressed his cheek. You can call me Alger. He couldn't resist that face. He was hopelessly drawn to beauty. On the way home, regret began to gnaw at him. He was leaving soon, yet he kept making promises. But these were all firsts for him. His excitement curdled into a quiet despair. Why did all these good things have to happen right before he died? After his trip, he would quietly breathe his last. No one would ever know. As long as the connection wasn't deep, it wouldn't matter. A knock rapped against the car window. It was Dawa. Today was the day they had agreed to begin Arya's magic lessons. Dawa had chosen a place with clean, crisp air, where the forest stood tall and a stream flowed swiftly. It's perfect for practice, Dawa said. Gulme, try using your magic, just as you normally would. Arya released her spiritual energy. The surrounding plants erupted in a frenzy of growth. She didn't know how to control it, causing a massive drain on her power. It was like extinguishing a candle flame with a bathtub full of water. Direct your spiritual energy towards me, Dawa instructed. Try to feel how it flows. Arya obediently focused the magic she had just used towards him. You used about this much spiritual energy just now, Dawa explained. She tried again, but accidentally caused the vines at Dawa's feet to grow wildly. Dawa watched, stunned and bewildered, as Arya lunged towards him. He knew she should know he was stronger than her, yet she always rushed to save him like this. He caught her. I'm fine, he reassured her. He was afraid she would fall in love with someone else. He didn't know that Esla Khan's heart and mind were completely consumed by her. The sudden growth of plants, spurred by Arya's magic, hadn't harmed either of them. Arya beamed. I think I'm a natural. A blush crept up Dawa's neck. He stepped back, flustered. You are a natural, he agreed, but there's still much to learn. The range of magical attacks, how to aim and react, and how to escape. There are many good teachers. Then I'll be in your care, Arya replied. Although she had only trained for a day, her control had improved significantly. Dawa found it baffling. Such a talent, and yet no one had bothered to teach her. It seemed they truly didn't care about her. His heart, erratic since the incident, hammered in his chest. Was it her talent that had rekindled his interest? He thought he was past that. Lost in thought, he extended an invitation. Isis is holding a festival soon. It should be quite interesting. Good for a... The word date remained unspoken. Arya cut him off. I'll be going on a date with Esla Khan. Thank you, Dawa. Dawa was dumbfounded. He watched her hop out of the car. Thank you so much for today. It's a blessing to be your friend. His heart shattered, but he forced a smile and waved goodbye. Once she was out of sight, he slammed his head against the door. Why did this bother him so much? Back at home, Arya excitedly invited Esla. Isis is having a flower festival. Let's go together. Esla, however, was worried about the curse. Arya frowned. Do we really have to wait until it's completely gone? But it's already healed here. Esla panicked, his words stumbling over each other. Had she seen his upper body? There's no trace of the curse left on your upper body, she confirmed. I won't push you too hard. We can go later, and you can wear a mask, okay? Esla finally agreed. Arya happily prepared for the festival. Holding cotton candy, she smiled like a child, as if making up for a lost childhood. Do you want some, Esla? Esla nodded and took a small bite. As he listened to her plans for the festival, he suddenly noticed the way people were looking at him. It was different now. No longer fear and disgust. He had almost forgotten what it felt like. He looked at Arya, a thrill coursing through him. I want another bite. But this time, it wasn't the cotton candy he tasted. What are you doing in broad daylight? Arya muttered, playfully hitting Esla Khan. It's not like anyone's watching. And besides, I'm the one who ends up hurting myself. She huffed, a touch of annoyance in her voice. Why is he so smooth now? He wasn't like this before, but there was no point dwelling on it now. She turned, expecting to see Esla Khan right behind her, but instead, a scene unfolded that made her heart clench. A girl was flirting with him. Esla Khan felt a strange sense of wonder. People were actually no longer afraid of him. He tried to brush her off, but she persisted. Arya couldn't bear to watch any longer. She turned and ran. If she left, Eslakan would fall in love with someone else, wouldn't he? She had known this all along. But facing the reality of it, why did it hurt so much? Hadn't she wanted him to find happiness? She couldn't be jealous over something so trivial. Miss, a voice called out. Would you like some water? I didn't put anything in it, I swear. As if to prove his innocence, the man took a small sip. Arya, still reeling, removed her mask. She hadn't anticipated the man's reaction to seeing her face. He covered his mouth, blushing furiously. I think I've fallen in love with you at first sight. Someone was confessing their love to Eslakan's girlfriend. Eslakan drew his sword. Arya, faced with this unexpected admirer, firmly rejected him. I have a lover. The red-haired man didn't believe her. I've heard people from the capital use that excuse all the time. So it's actually true. Was I too forward? Then let me try again the way they do things here. I'm completely captivated by your beauty. Miss, please go out with me. Arya thought, isn't that a pickup line from at least 15 years ago? She was about to reject him again when the sound of clashing steel rang out. In a flash, swords met, sparks flying. Eslakan had arrived. How dare you behave like this in front of me? Do you have a death wish? I don't want to die. Are you his lover? The question only fueled Eslakan's anger. Arya was shocked. Not only had the red-haired man not been intimidated by Eslakan, he had even managed to knock off his mask. The red-haired man looked at Eslakan. Well, I think I'm a more handsome one. What are you talking about? Get your sword away from my lover right now. Surprisingly, the man obeyed. I'm sorry. I didn't know he was your lover. I thought you were lying. If I'd known you had a boyfriend, I wouldn't have confessed. Whether it's true or not, a rejection is a rejection. You arrogant llama. The man apologized again. But seeing Arya's reaction, he seemed even more smitten. I really did fall in love with you at first sight. That's a shame. Well then, farewell. Eslakan pulled Arya close. Why did you leave me alone? Arya hadn't realized. While she had been worried about Eslakan falling for someone else, he had been equally worried about her. He couldn't bear the thought of what he would have done if she had accepted another man's confession. I'm sorry. I was just wandering around and got lost. Thank you for coming to find me. Were you waiting for me this whole time? Of course. I was worried sick. Arya finally smiled. Me too. But her hand was still trembling. Eslakan immediately embraced her. I am sorry. I must have scared you when I disappeared. I won't do that again. It's okay. I should have been more careful. Music drifted towards them from the distance. Let's go dance. He then remembered his missing mask. If you're tired, we can just go home. I'm not tired. Really? You'll definitely attract attention. It's okay. I have you. Couples danced in the streets. Unlike the formal balls of high society, this felt freer. He smiled, extending a hand to Arya. Shall we dance? Eslakan had never imagined a day like this. The stench of decaying corpses, the horrified, disgusted stares of the people around him. He had always been an outcast, utterly unable to blend in. You gave me a new life, he thought. You gave me a chance to live as a human being, not a monster, but an ordinary person. Who would have thought it possible that a monster like him could mingle in a crowd, dance with them? Even if his dancing was awkward, she still found him endearing. Arya's upturned face radiated pure joy. She seemed to glow with an inner light, and this radiant person was confessing to him. I like you, Eslakan. How could he not love her in return? I like you too, he murmured. In this moment, he was no longer a monster. Just as the beast had been transformed back into a man by Bel, so too had he been changed by Arya. Boyfriend hug, Arya demanded, but Esla hesitated. He needed to punish her for kissing him so freely in public without his permission. But a man head over heels in love could hardly be stopped by such a flimsy protest. His gaze darkened. Arya stammered, a little frightened. W, what are you doing? Even after he released her hand, the soft sensation lingered. Esla pouted. Don't you like it? It wasn't that she didn't like it. Then can I kiss you this time? She asked. Though he was enjoying this game, he felt he couldn't let her win so easily. Eslakan, Arya began, a mischievous glint in her eye. Do you want to cuddle with me? He was completely disarmed by her sudden sweetness. Arya laughed. You think you could just get away with that and then kiss me? How shameless. I'm going to punish you. No physical contact for a while. For a man who had just tasted the sweetness of love, this was a devastating blow. Not even today, he pleaded. What? He remembered her relentless pursuit of kisses just the day before. And now this sudden withdrawal. He felt utterly dejected. But, didn't you say you were going to punish me? Eslakan's world tilted. Are you serious? Very serious, she replied. He began to apologize. I won't do it again, I promise. He tried to continue his plea, but she cut him off. No, I mean what I say. Esla moved closer, his expression softening into a pout. Really, not even a little? He leaned in, but she pushed him away. No using your charms on me. Esla slumped, defeated. Arya, however, was practically giddy. Seeing him beg was thrilling. She decided to tease him for a few more days. Even Dawa could see her good mood. That obvious, huh? She asked. Thanks to your advice, our date was a success. Dawa nearly choked. He was the one who wanted to go on a date in the first place. Whatever, he muttered. Let's just get back to training. Then, as an afterthought, oh, I met a strange man yesterday from the West. He suddenly confessed his feelings for me. That's odd. How did he confess? Arya asked. Arya blushed slightly. He said it was love at first sight. You know, because I'm so cute. Dawa fumed. Was the man mocking her? It seemed like every Tom, Dick, and Harry felt entitled to approach her. But seeing Arya nervously gauge his reaction, he softened. Yes, you're very cute, he conceded. So, my adorable little miss, are you planning to obliterate this patch of land again today? Let's do some combat training today, Arya said, her eyes shining with anticipation. Where should we begin? She asked. Let's start with how to kill someone, Dawa replied. Using magic in this position will result in instant death. Dawa, what are you doing? He didn't answer, instead uttering something even more chilling. Kill me. That's not funny, Arya said, her voice tight. I'm not joking, Dawa insisted. Arya, shove him away. Enough, she shouted. He so desperately wants to live, yet his time is running out. While this one's life is just beginning. Is this what jealousy feels like? Or hatred? Or just self-pity? My lady, what do you consider practical combat? Being able to protect yourself. Being able to travel alone safely. Dawa chuckled. The world outside isn't so gentle. Even if you just go to the outskirts of the capital, you'll become a target. So you must remember this. If you attack someone without being prepared to kill, then the one who dies will be you. Ignoring Arya's protests, he forcefully tackled her to the ground. He did this only to test the results of her training, and her fall brought his words sharply into focus. This world isn't kind. Sometimes, to protect yourself, you have to hurt others. Though, for Dawa, as long as he could touch her neck, no matter how severe the injury, he could heal her. But he didn't want to put her in danger. That's why he lost so decisively. You understand, don't you? After all, you're a kind young lady. Thinking this, he grabbed Arya again. Why don't you try again? Attack me with the intention to kill. Arya shook her head, refusing. Don't worry, I'm actually stronger than you think. Besides, if I get hurt, you can just heal me. Arya looked up at him, but it would still hurt, even if you can be healed. There was again that feeling. Every time she saw him, it evoked this strange reaction in him. He hated this feeling of losing control of his emotions. I won't give you any more time to hesitate. Try to stop me. He took out his staff and swung at Arya. Though his strikes weren't hard, the constant barrage was irritating. Even a rabbit will bite when cornered. He barely dodged a leaf she flung at him, only to be met with her taunt. Are your magic skills just for show? That's right, they're still magic. What kind of magic won't hurt him? She launched her attack. Water surged towards Dawa, but he easily blocked it. I prefer warm baths, he said, returning the water to her. Here you go. This infuriated Arya. He was going to get it. Back at the Duke's mansion, Arya dragged her feet as she asked the old butler, Where's Esla? The master is in the bath. Shall I inform him of your return? No need, but he should start purifying his lower half. She thought of Esla fresh from the bath, conveniently robed for purification. He'd be all clean. Esla emerged from the bathroom, still sulking about not being able to cuddle with his girlfriend, when he was startled by the sudden appearance of Arya. Arya, his words, on the verge of a roar, stuttered. As she stepped forward, he stepped back. We're too close. But before he could finish his sentence, Arya pushed him onto the bed. Let's start purifying your lower half now. We'll start with your knees. Esla scrambled back, refusing. No, absolutely not. You're getting the wrong idea. She put on a serious face. This is the only way I can purify. Please take this seriously. With that, she reached for him. Clad only in his robe, Esla was incredibly sensitive. Arya began the healing process. The curse on his lower half seemed to be worse, but thanks to Dawa's training, her magic flowed much more easily. This time, it was completed without a hitch. Focused on healing, she didn't notice his reaction. Esla's face flushed with a mixture of embarrassment and arousal. Oh no, he thought. He'd gotten carried away again. The two, finally an official couple, had their first intimate exchange. Esla Khan, in his cat form, nuzzled closer, but Arya instinctively recoiled. "No kissing, remember?" she murmured, even as he nudged her cheek with his head. And just like that, their lips met. This girl, she was a beacon in his life, the sole redemption in his desolate existence. He cherished her beyond measure. He gazed at her intently. "I wouldn't kiss you without being ready," he whispered. "So, can I continue?" Arya found herself not at all averse. On the contrary, she wrapped her arms tightly around him. Esla Khan's eyes widened in surprise. He returned her embrace without hesitation. She was truly beautiful. Though he constantly complimented her appearance, Esla Khan had never seen anyone more captivating. A sudden fear gripped him. He worried she might be repulsed by his cursed form. Arya caressed his cheek. "You're beautiful too," she whispered. "Every part of you." Hearing those words, it felt as if he truly had transformed. Arya was his savior, his girl. As dawn approached, he was utterly exhausted, while the insatiable Catman seemed to radiate energy. "Are you tired?" she purred. "Can't you see the state I'm in?" He truly was. Esla Khan asked cautiously, "Is it still early?" "So like this," Arya exclaimed in exasperation. "I'm going to die. Just once more, please." He was powerless against her pleading. "Oh, heavens, just let me die," he thought. "Just this once," we agreed. Esla Khan ultimately relented, conserving some of his energy so she could attend the Imperial Princess's gathering. "Arya, you came. Thank you for inviting me, Your Highness." "Call me Alger," the princess insisted. He obediently complied. The princess affectionately patted his head. "Good boy. Let's go." He was utterly captivated by her beauty. "I want to introduce you to my good friends." Arya smiled. "I hope they like me too." The princess leaned in close. "How could anyone not like you?" she murmured. "How could he be so charming?" He could hear the girl's laughter before he even approached. There was Belle, the tavern owner, his old friend, the striking Juana, the countess of the Earl's mansion, and the adorable, rabbit-like Shwelia. After introductions were made, Shwelia suddenly asked Arya, "You don't have a family name. Are you a commoner?" But how would a mere commoner know Princess Alger? The atmosphere grew tense. It was all because he had severed ties with his family, and therefore didn't use their surname. The resulting misunderstanding. The innocent kitten tasted the sweetness of a predatory panther. The man with the sweet head began to actively flirt with the girl. An Arya's tea party encountered a malicious green tea girl. How would a mere commoner know Princess Alger? Juana spoke first. "Miss Mirchin, watch your mouth." Even the princess's demeanor changed. "Shwelia, you're being rude." The green tea girl squeezed out a few tears, feigning innocence. "I'm new to society. I apologize if I offended you." Could she have been doing it on purpose? Though he suspected as much, she had already apologized, so Arya could only forgive her. The awkwardness broken, they resumed their lively conversation. As the gathering ended and they prepared to leave, Juana suddenly called out to Arya. She warned him to be wary of Shwelia, explaining that her debutante ball hadn't gone well, and the princess, taking pity on her, had brought her into their circle. But she was incredibly clueless. Juana, not wanting Arya to be taken advantage of, had offered the warning. Just then a familiar voice called out, "Arya, I thought it was you." Esla Khan, in his cat form, bounded over, purring and rubbing against Arya affectionately, much to the shock of the others. "Duke Candel." The man's expression turned serious. "Greetings," he said. After a brief exchange, the young couple prepared to depart. "See you next time. I had a lot of fun today." It turned out Esla Khan was only there to pick her up. He still had to return to the Imperial City for work. Arya pouted. She wanted to spend more time with Esla. "It's okay. I have a date later anyway." "Oh, really?" Esla looked at her, clearly wanting to say something more. But all his thoughts were written plainly on his face. He was just too cute. Arya couldn't resist and pounced on him. Esla's fur bristled. Wait, no. After a second of resistance, he switched from defense to offense. He embraced her. "Today I learned something new." Apparently, the inside of the carriage isn't so bad after all. He linked his pinky finger with Arya's. He gently caressed her soft fingers. Now, it was Arya's turn to be flustered. "What are you talking about?" He didn't answer, choosing to show her instead. "Kissing me without even considering the consequences. You need to be punished." Arya was practically swooning from his smile. How could he be so handsome? He was even more dazzling than the Imperial Palace. The little imp inside Arya's heart started fanning the flames. Kiss him. Unlock a new achievement. Carriage kiss. Just then, they arrived at their destination. Arya playfully punched him, sending him sprawling. He quickly jumped out of the carriage. Watching the flustered girl flee, Esla sat on the ground, laughing. Arya, see you at home later, he called out, acting as if he planned to continue their playful banter at the mansion. Don't you dare. If you do that again, we're sleeping in separate rooms. Today was Arya's magic lesson day. Dawa looked different than usual, dressed in commoner's clothes. As expected, good looks complete any outfit. With a face like that, he'd look good even in rags. Today, we'll be learning invisibility magic. This was exactly what she needed for her escapes. So, she began showering Dawa with praise. Dawa, you're the best. The man was completely unprepared for such flattery. His face flushed red all the way to his ears. Why is she doing this? It's not like she said she likes me. Let's get started. Today, we'll learn how to conceal your presence in a crowd, making it impossible for anyone to sense you. He gave only a brief explanation, and Arya immediately grasped it. She perfectly concealed her presence. However, the sensation of his touch on her hand became even more pronounced. Dawa, am I doing this right? What do I do? My heart is wavering again. After witnessing him kill someone firsthand, his mind was filled with disturbing thoughts. Dawa knew from the beginning that they weren't from the same world. Even with his current status, he still faced countless assassination attempts every day. So, human life held little value in his eyes. He never hesitated to kill. It was like crushing ants. Someone who should have been a holy servant of God was more like a demon crawled up from hell, and he was long accustomed to this life. But he knew Arya wouldn't like it. The girl who was afraid to hurt him, who wouldn't even launch a proper attack, would be terrified if she saw this side of him. He even went through the trouble of changing his clothes before seeing her. He was going to such lengths for a woman. Since when did he become like this? He used to despise love. He didn't want to entertain the illusion of liking someone. But when she held his hand and smiled at him time and time again, a yearning bloomed within him. I think I want you. If you knew my true identity and saw my power rivaling even the Emperor's, would you be interested in my status? No, you might be disgusted by my past. Even though you weren't raised with affection, you are still the Duke's daughter. When you find out the person you care for actually grew up scraping by on the streets, you might feel angry and betrayed. He suddenly sensed killing intent. Another assassin had set their sights on him. He needed an excuse to leave and deal with it. I have something I need to buy. Can you wait for me? Go ahead. I'll practice diligently. She wasn't worried about him. He didn't need to worry about Arya. After all, a powerful knight was protecting her. With that thought, he turned and left, disappearing into the crowd. As expected, the assassin followed. Your life is worth a lot, you know. While he knew it was meant to provoke him, this was pathetic. The assassin charged, knife flashing. He didn't want to get blood all over himself. How to kill him quickly and cleanly. Arya suddenly rushed forward. He almost instinctively unleashed his magic. Immense spiritual power erupted, potent and unwavering. 4 assassins dispatched in an instant. They crumpled, lifeless. Dawa, witnessing it all, was frozen in stunned excitement. Arya was splattered with blood, but she didn't seem to care. Dawa, are you all right? Are you hurt? Her hands trembled with fear. Yet her only concern was for him. This pampered, highborn daughter of a duke, who was afraid to even hurt another living being, had just killed for him. Just for him. His heart felt like it would burst. What did he have to do to stop this maddening yearning? To possess the person before him? He had fallen completely in love with her. As his life ticked down to its final moments, his first thought wasn't for himself, but that he couldn't die in front of Esla Khan, just as she had unhesitatingly saved Dawa. It's all right. It'll be all right. Dawa looked at the trembling girl in his arms and questioned himself. Have I fallen in love with her? Ridiculous. This must be an illusion. Countless times, the one who claimed to love him had personally delivered him into hell. The very emotion of love filled him with revulsion. I'm fine, miss, he said, using his divine power to cleanse the bloodstains. Thank you for saving me. I'm alive thanks to you. Dawa once again donned his false mask. Let's head back for today. He gently urged her forward. She was still trembling. Dawa's feelings towards her were a tangled mess. He forced himself to look away. Just as they were about to board the carriage, he couldn't help but speak. Arya, those assassins, they came for me because of my family's minds. So don't worry about it. They deserve to die. The fact is, you saved my life. Just remember that. His heart softened. He was afraid she would be consumed by guilt and scarred by the act of killing. Thank you, Dawa. Please take care of yourself. Daoha's 好不容易平静的心又开始动摇. I want to tell you right now, even the slightest touch from you makes my heart race. So, miss, please leave, before I can't hold back and entangle you. Escape from my side quickly. Back home, Esla Khan's smiling cat form greeted him. He forced himself to compose his emotions. Were you waiting for me? I'm so happy. He couldn't let Esla worry. But how could his beloved not sense something amiss? What happened? The man's expression turned menacing. Did someone bully you? Nothing happened. Arya insisted. Really, I'm just so hungry right now. Esla, have you eaten? What's for dinner tonight? She changed the subject. Esla, in his cat form, didn't press further. He glanced at Gerald behind him. The look in his eyes hinted that something had indeed occurred. This sparked a sudden fury within him. He wouldn't force Arya. If her lies were for his sake, he'd be grateful. Though, she was endearing even like this. But he couldn't just stand by and do nothing. The old butler presented a surprise cake, commemorating their 50th day together. Arya offered her thanks with a smile, but it quickly faltered, her head bowing as a wave of negativity washed over her. 50 days had already passed. She had less than a month left. The doctor's words echoed in her ears. Your heart will race. Sometimes, you'll even be able to hear it yourself. If it worsens, you'll ultimately explode. No, she didn't want to die in front of Esla Khan. She especially didn't want him to witness her body exploding. Especially not when he was smiling so blissfully right now. Do you like the strawberry cake? She had to leave soon. Esla, she began, you still remembered my favorite flavor. Beneath her radiant smile lay a heart desolate with loneliness. Could she truly bear to leave him alone? Could she just leave like this?